May 13th, 2026 meeting of the Upton Conservation Commission. We've got a long agenda tonight, many hearings. The first one is RDA West Main Street replace utility pole and install underground conduit. Mary or Lauren, could somebody read the public notice, please?
All right, notice is hereby given in accordance with Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public meeting on Wednesday, May 13th, 2026, 7 p.m. Request for determination of applicability filed by Chad Boardman of Bugsy LLC for the replacement of an existing utility pole and work associated with running new underground conduits to a new transformer at the property line between the two lots at 17 and 19 West Main. I believe we have Travis Brown here representing applicant.
Yes, good evening. For the record, Travis Brown with Turning Point Engineering, representing the applicant Bugsy LLC. So this was an application for an RDA to essentially get power to the two new lots that were created in the vicinity of the existing house at 15 West Main Street. I'm just going to share my screen just so I can show for reference. Can everybody see that screen?
Where is this?
So this here. Okay, so this is a National Grid sketch, pretty basic of what they're trying to do to service the two new lots that are within the field area of the existing house. So the existing house at 15 West Main is here. So in reaching out to National Grid, they need to replace this pole here down on Route 140. So that'll be within a couple feet of the existing pole. And then what they're going to do is they're going to run underground up this short stretch of what, used to be old 140 through there. It's kind of the horseshoe part now, not the main section of 140. So up through there and then up the common driveway to a transformer pad, which they will supply power to the two new lots. So I'll just switch plans here. So National Grid was essentially looking for sign off by Conservation Commission, on GIS and public information. There's obviously some wetlands. There's the pond across the street and, some riverfront area. So all of this work will be within areas that are already disturbed. There won't be any tree clearing or removal of vegetation to do this work. It would all be out within that right of way. We did receive a staff report from Mary, I think it was last night, that this work is exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act. This is solely under the local bylaw. Again, so we filed an RDA, pretty limited scope of work, no negative impacts to wetland area. And just to be safe, I did add some erosion control barrier along the edge of what would be trenched just to protect that area adjacent to it. You can see there's wetlands here. The floodplain is over there. We're outside of that. We're outside of the 200-foot offset actually from Baker Pond. So that's the scope of work. Be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Mary, do you have any?
No, we've brought in for erosion controls. I think everything, it's pretty simple.
Any questions from anyone on the commission? Hearing none, entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, my gosh.
Aye. Alan, aye.
Sandy, aye.
Shannon, I.
So
So let it come out here, okay?
okay, well let's go on. Also, should we just go ahead and make a motion to issue the negative determination?
Yeah, motion to issue negative termination, I said 3 and 6.
3 and 6.
Motion to move to issue negative determination 3 and 6. Second.
Uh, Any discussion? Hearing none, Mike, aye.
Aye. Alan,
Sandy, I.
Ben and I.
Not that it matters, but I lost the connection for the last part of the conversation, so I'll abstain. But it looks like it's a aye vote all around anyway.
Okay, thanks, Marcella. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing else?
Yep. No, I'll be seeing you later on for the other project. So I'll hang around. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're right on time. For COC for 311-0523 Governor's Landing, which gives some of us some twitching. But it's but I know it's
instructional.
Yeah.
On 17
Yeah,
South.
somebody gave them a revised agenda.
oh.
That's the good one. You can talk about that one.
Okay. So, okay, oh, okay.
It is slightly different.
Okay, so 710 COC for 117 South, DP number 311-0743, construction of the riding area.
All right, and so Sherry Berger is here for this. She doesn't have, I can just share my screen and explain. You guys might remember,
Yeah, I thought they did a riding area before.
this is a certificate of compliance.
Oh.
So the project is done. And she drew us a lovely sketch showing what was built. Here's the arena. They put in dry wells, 1, 2, 3. The intermittent stream is right here. And then they put in boulders all along kind of the limit of work. And I did a site visit. All right, here's the boulders. The arena is to the left. Looking at from the other direction, here's boulders again, arena to the right. And then this is inside the wetland area. So no damage to the wetland, everything's stable and complete. And then the last thing in the order of conditions is they were supposed to, well, the order talked about either installing bounds or putting boulders in. So she had put the boulders in places though it kind of looks like a retaining wall. So I just suggested she get a few placards and put those on. And put those on boulders, and she has done that. So there's one there. And yeah, and here's the other one. 2 boulders. So
Where are those?
where are the,
No, I mean, I don't see it.
oh, it's not showing.
I believe you, but
Let's see if I can make it work. I'm seeing something different. Stop sharing. See if I can make it share. Okay. All right, there we go. 1,
there you go.
2. There's the second one.
Yeah, great.
Good.
So she's got those installed. And everything looks good.
Okay, thank you. A motion to issue a COC for DP 311-0743.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, Mike, aye.
Aye. Alan,
Sandy, I.
Ben and I.
All right, we have a few lost Marcelo in a minute or so. So, any special conditions to continue the COC? Or do you want to hold off on?
Yeah, no, we can talk about it. I think it's just the bounds remain in place. And then nothing, no work beyond the limit of work, which is the goal.
So, have a motion to issue a COC with those two conditions?
A moved. Second.
Judy? Any discussion? Mike, aye.
All right. Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Sherry, I.
Hello there.
Hi. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, take care.
Bye-bye.
We lost Marcelo. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we have a quorum anyway. Okay, 7:15. NOI for East Street A&R lot number 1. Site work associated with single family home continued from April 22nd.
Yes, so we have John Polemico. That, I believe.
I just got on again.
Welcome back. We can hear you.
There you go ahead, John.
All right, great. Thank you all for having us tonight. We do apologize for the technical issues during the last meeting. But for tonight, Mary, not sure if you would like to pull up a plan or I can pull up one on my end with the screen share. I don't see that option available for me here. But we have a relatively straightforward proposal tonight for A&R Lot 1. We do have work that would be occurring. It's grading, septic system installation, and a portion of the house that would be falling within the 100-foot wetland buffer. As far as the site goes, this is one of the A&R lots that is a part of the East Street Estates subdivision. Previously, when Andrews had put together the original proposal for the plan, they had identified that there was a vernal pool on the site. So a 130-foot vernal pool easement was added to the A&R lot plans. We are abiding by that 130-foot easement that's out there. Closest portion of our work is going to be about 95 feet or so off of the wetland lines, and then 119 feet away from that wetland line. And right now from the vernal pool, if I had to estimate without an exact dimension there, we are looking to be about, I would say, 150 feet plus away from that vernal pool area. To help mitigate for anything with the house itself, we do have 4 Cultec chambers proposed that would intercept any sort of roof runoff. And we are trying to keep driveway minimally sized out there, just so that we won't be causing any sort of issues or anything there. Unfortunately, with this site, it was a previous agricultural field, so there isn't much for trees or anything to be maintained. But outside of our limit of work, any of that grass is to remain as it currently stands. And then anything inside that 130-foot vernal pool easement would be fully protected at that point. I also do believe we have a DEP file number. And when I at least checked through the NOI lookup, there was no comments or anything that I'm aware of that were issued for those.
Okay, Mary, before you go, I need to say a couple things about this one. Okay, first off, I have to, identify myself as a board member of the Metacomet Land Trust. The land trust had an agreement with the property owner of the developer of East Street Estates to hold the conservation restriction on this property. And I believe, and first, well, that process sort of came to a halt when the owner withdrew the original East Street Estates subdivision plan several years ago. But if I'm not mistaken, portion of this lot was intended to be CR protected. John, do you know anything about that?
I'm not aware of anything for it. And
Okay.
as far as withdrawing of any applications, I do know that we have received an order of conditions for any of that original proposed work. And at least for any updates that we're doing with the planning board, we are proceeding with that existing order of conditions in mind. And if we have to get any updates or anything to it, we'll obviously make sure that we follow up accordingly with the larger
Okay.
subdivision.
That order of conditions did not cover this lot. That
Okay.
order of conditions covered the subdivision plan, which the owner withdrew from the planning board. I know they resubmitted a plan. But what I'm trying to say is that this lot, I believe, and I'd have to go back and look, but I'm almost positive part of this lot is CR protected. So we have to somehow address that.
Would that be the 130-foot easement that they have for that vernal pool that's out there? Because I
No,
do
there's-
recall.
Let me finish. There could be some bounds in the field that you can go out and locate. In fact, the old plan for East Street Estates shows those bounds, I believe. So, so you have to find those bounds. They've been installed. They're in the field somewhere. And then what we have to do is talk about the conservation restriction. And I'm assuming that CR might not happen for quite a while. But you want to build this house and sell it off, so we have to have some way that the owner of the house, eventual owner of the house, understands that there's going to be a conservation restriction on part of their property. And I'm going to recuse myself from making any decisions here, just to be super safe, because I'm a Metacomet board member. And the old plan was for Metacomet to hold the conservation restriction, and the town actually to own the open space. Mary, can you
Yeah, so,
sit about?
yeah,
It's like it's been
so DEP,
damaged.
yeah, the bounds have been run over, so they're all falling over, but they are there. Probably the mowing machine. So every single one of them is kind of in this state, but they're visible.
John, can you see that? Can you see the screen? Can you see that?
Yes, and I was going to add in, when we were doing soil testing out there, we did identify those bound locations. Since we weren't aware at the time of any sort of conservation restriction or anything like that, we didn't have those bounds located on our plans just yet. We wanted to at least make sure that as far as everything goes, those were appropriate, and those just weren't, something that was left out there with the intention to be installed at a later date. From my understanding, that 130-foot easement, based on the swing ties and everything we pulled on site, roughly fall where this bounds are currently located. So as far as that goes, we have at least identified that on the plan. If that's something that would need to become a conservation restriction easement at that point, we can make sure that we do have that properly updated and reflected on our plans versus calling it out as the vernal pool easement.
It could be the vernal pool resource area. That should be delineated. And then the CR bound is a separate issue, separate line.
Okay. I do not recall when I was looking at those bounds if there was a specific marker on it that noted conservation restriction.
There were not, no.
Okay.
But again, they were installed as part of the prior East Street Estates plan. And I assume they're gonna continue to exist, in the future.
Yes,
But-
as far as they go, they haven't been ripped out at this moment in time. And if that's something that was previously agreed to with this land, we'll make sure that the developer is aware to keep these in perpetuity moving forward.
is the developer Alfonso right now?
Yes, developer is still the same developer. It's just shifted hands on the engineering side of things.
So, so I guess there needs to be discussion. Again, if you build a house here, sell the house to a new owner, how will the owner be required to allow the conservation restriction to be placed on their property? Because that CR isn't probably gonna happen anytime soon. And, it won't happen until after the subdivision is approved, and then it's gotta be approved by the state. That whole CR approval process can take many months. So there needs to be some thought about how, I don't know, if somehow in the deed that eventually transfers the house on this property, somehow that deed has to retain the right to place a conservation restriction on that lot. And the same goes for the lot down the road that I imagine at some point Alfonso will be coming to get approval for the adjacent lot.
I know for lot 2, we currently have submitted a land disturbance permit for that. All of our work was outside of any sort of buffer zone. So we were not intending to file any sort of RDA or NOI for that lot. But Mary has indicated to me, if I recall correctly, we will be on the May 27th agenda to review that land disturbance permit and any plans associated with it.
But again, it has that lot will have the same issue. It'll be, eventually it's supposed to be partially protected by a conservation restriction.
Understood.
So,
Should we ask for these current bounds to be re-erected, re-straightened up, because otherwise, it's gonna get lost. Well,
It looks like it's been cut, looks like it's broken.
So from my observations, the bound may have just been run over while somebody was mowing that field. But I can definitely have our survey crews get those located and reflected on our plans. And if we need to inform the developer about getting these properly repositioned, we can do so. From my recollection, it was only this particular bound that was kind of left in a little bit of disarray. I do recall there being 2 bounds that I at least put eyes on that were still properly situated and had, I believe it was about 8 inches, if not a little bit more, of clearance from ground at that point.
Did we get some sort of a label on them? When did
Yeah.
that happen after the restriction has been filed?
probably, yeah.
And I wonder if you guys want something more than our standard. We have the standard W, which is more of a wetland. I feel like we should get a conservation restriction
Yeah,
marker.
okay, so Metacomet has them
Oh.
already.
Oh, great.
Okay.
I mean, we have markers that say conservation restriction, Metacomet land trust. Now that assumes we're gonna continue to be part of this, and that conversation, I don't think has happened.
Okay.
We had just so John knows, we Metacomet had an agreement with Alfonso to hold the CR and to do the work needed to get the CR in place. But that agreement has expired and it hasn't been renewed, to my knowledge. I can bring this to the attention of Lisa Mazinski, the Metacomet president. And then probably what needs to happen is there needs to be a conversation between Lisa and the developer's representatives. I think Lisa was talking with his daughter way back when, who's an attorney.
Yes, Suzette is still with him and is his attorney for that. So as far as that goes, if you or Lisa would need any updated contact info or anything, I'd be more than happy to pass that along for you folks.
So I'll be quiet. Mary, but I just, go ahead, please. I'm sure you have other stuff to talk about here.
Yeah, well, just in the order of conditions for East Street Estates, there is a condition which mentions applicant shall provide commission with a summary of the status of conservation restriction, including portions of lots 1 and 2, mention those specifically, that lie within 130 feet of the vernal pool. Commission reserves the right to delay the start of construction until certain steps towards finalizing the CR, such as a signed memorandum of understanding with the third party, have been achieved. So that we'll have to get some kind of memorandum of understanding for that. And then my only other comment, Travis, is so it's a little confusing because it looks like they set up the CR 130 feet from the vernal pool, but under the bylaw, a vernal pool has a 50-foot no disturb off the vernal pool recess area, which is 100 feet from the mean annual high water. So in effect, it's 150 feet from the mean annual high water on the vernal pool. And I don't think you're in that buffer zone, but I just need you to show it on the plans. Show that line, the 150 feet off the mean annual high water of the vernal pool. I don't think that's on your.
Mary, Tance, did we change it from 30 to 50 feet a few years ago?
It's 50 feet now. I don't know what
I
it
think
is. If you think it's changed.
I thought we had a big discussion about it.
Yeah, thought maybe we did when we updated the.
Right, so maybe this is, so I think.
This may reflect.
Yeah, so the easement is on at 130, but there is an additional 20 feet that on the property that will
So
be
these
protected.
bounds might need to be moved.
Well, yeah, maybe we should have them move the bounds since they're knocked over anyway.
Anyway.
As far as anything goes, if the town does have a 150-foot buffer, we can definitely make sure that we do update that. Currently, I believe our limit of work will be well outside that 150-foot mark, but I can definitely add anything in to our plans in that case. And if the developer has already agreed, and that's a condition as a part of the larger East Street Estate subdivision, I do not think we will really get any sort of pushback from the developer on this lot here. If that's anything that's made a condition of approval or anything along those lines at this point.
Anything else?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They're provided with Coltex and I think this.
Anything else from the commission or anyone online? Any others? Okay, so, I guess we don't have a DP number, or do we? We don't comments.
There is a DEP
Or
number.
we don't comments from the DP.
They just didn't comment on
They
the
didn't
property.
comment.
So the number is issued. So we.
What is the number?
The number is, I think 851. Yes, 851.
So John, would you be okay, would you be unopposed to us continuing the hearing?
If we have to, for further discussions with Afonso's legal side and meta comment, I understand the commission's standpoint on that. If that's anything that we could have as like a condition of approval, providing an updated plan, and then having this be a stipulation, that it must be worked out before the official orders is issued. I'm fine with approaching it that way if the commission is. Whichever is your guys' preference on voting there.
I'll open that to discussion. I won't be voting on this, so.
I have a question. It sounds like, I don't know if the map of the conservation restrictions is drawn up yet. So should we then move that line from the 130 to 150, the CR line, or just the bounds are gonna get moved?
What, it would move the CR line as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
Everything gets moved.
Yeah,
But doesn't the applicant have to agree? I mean, it's really they had initially agreed to that 130 foot. That extra 20 feet is gonna be a buffer, but they may not want it to be part of a conservation restriction. So I think a conversation has to be held with them before we move the bounds, because right now, all the parties have agreed on where the bound should be. Now,
That agreement.
that other extra 20 feet, we have to see how we want to handle that. But I wouldn't feel comfortable just moving the bounds without an agreement from the applicants.
So, yeah, but, isn't the previous agreement expired? Is that what you said?
No, the order of conditions, so this, it was under the order of conditions for East Street. I think that order is still open.
Okay.
Yeah.
The orders is still active.
Yeah.
Okay.
The agreement Metacom had with the developer has expired.
Oh, that's expired. Okay.
And I mean, the developer would be free to go to some other entity to hold the CR. Again, Lisa will probably have to have a discussion with the developer about that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they will agree to move the bounds to the 150 foot line. Otherwise, they'll have to have two sets of bounds, one at 130, and then, another set of bounds for the extra 20 feet, which is just.
It'll be a notice to either way.
Yes, exactly, but it's how they want to do it, but we should, should get some discussions with them.
The important thing, we have some language in the deed that will require a future landowner to, submit to the CR. But again, I suspect this house will be occupied well before the CR is recorded. Whoever holds the CR.
Also, I mean, certainly it can be written into the order of conditions, right? So as to protect our side even beyond the deed, but I think in order to let the homeowner, eventual new homeowner know, full transparency, it should be somehow recorded.
What we, a little bit more history, what we decided way back was, it makes sense to just have one CR for basically these three properties. If it was super troublesome, you could have CRs you could have a separate CR for these lots. But CR is a lot of work, and I think it just makes sense for everybody to just have one CR to cover the three properties.
Great.
I do have one question for the board regarding the one CR for the three properties. Currently, for our subdivision proposal going back to planning board, these two lots, which were formerly lot 1 and 2 of the subdivision, have been removed and are just only being viewed as A&R lots in that case. If the CR is one CR for 3 lots, would that matter at all? If these are being treated as separate A&R lots, not a part of that overall subdivision?
It should not matter at all.
Okay.
You can a CR can cover more than one parcel.
Okay.
So it wouldn't matter. So, John, I guess, let me ask, the commission's preference to continue this?
That would be my.
Yes, yeah, yes.
So that's.
Yep.
And Marcella, are you?
I agree.
And, Shannon?
Yes. Yes, I
Yeah.
think we should continue it.
Okay. So, John, are you okay with that then? That we'll continue this?
If that's the board's preference, I don't really think I have too much that I can argue on that end. Just a couple follow-up questions though for that. To get this moving into the next stage for things, would I mean, I can definitely talk to Dominic and his team, and if he agrees to 150 feet, we can update our plan. We can, since we would be moving bounds, just have the new bounds reflected, with even spacing throughout that lot. But what would be needed for the conservation restriction or anything along those lines to get this plan approved? Or most likely we would probably have to continue the land disturbance permit for the second A&R lot as well. So, just to make sure that we're efficient with our time here, does the Alfonso attorney have to be in touch with Metacomment? Is that just going to be addressed directly with Mary and the commission at this point? How would we kind of proceed forward with that type of situation?
Well, I think you should inform the Alfonso's attorney of this situation.
Okay.
And I'll also, as a Metacomment board member, let Lisa know, the Metacomment president know.
Okay.
And they're going to have to work it out, whether
Okay.
how they want to handle this. But again, just totally aside from whoever holds the CR, I still think that you have to have some sort of a legal mechanism for the future owner of that house to be required to allow the CR to be recorded on their property. Same for the other lot, because that the CR isn't going to be recorded anytime soon. It hasn't been written. It hasn't been submitted to the state. There's a lot of things that need to be done before the CR is put to bed. And whether or not Metacomment or some other land trust or entity like the town holds the CR.
Should his lawyer come up with some sort of wording for
Some
that?
language, I think that'd be good.
And I would suggest Mary work with them too, because I think the commission will want some language in the order.
Yeah.
To assure that happens.
Assurances.
Okay. I can definitely make sure I follow up with folks on that end for it. From an engineering side and anything that we would have to do for plans, essentially at this moment in time, we would need to at least update, if agreed with the applicant, for the 150-foot buffer. Is there a particular spacing that the commission is looking to achieve with any of these bounds on this lot or any other lots?
I think that probably the current spacing is good. I think there were like 4 or 5 bounds out there on the property that I could locate.
So I know in the vicinity of the testing that we did here, I was only personally able to locate 2 of them. But if we just want to evenly space in between the property lines and then continue that through lot 2 and then the other lots, I can shoot you back over a draft copy, Mary, at 50-foot spacing or whatever we think is appropriate there. With that potentially moving an extra, 20 or so feet, I don't know if that spacing would still line up exactly with the property lines as they're currently shown, but
Right.
I can work with you on that end if there is no particular preference of the commission for that.
Well, I think that Mike, you believe that the bounds are already on a plan for East Street Estates.
Yeah.
That hopefully we can both look for it and see if that can be located, and that would give you the spacing.
If you could check, I would appreciate that. At least in anything for our records, we didn't have any of those bound locations noted. And unfortunately, the other engineer that was working on the project is no longer an active company. So reaching out to them, I'm not sure how much information they might fully have available there. But if not, like I said, I can at least get you a draft copy of what we would think is appropriate spacing, and we can work that out while the attorneys are discussing the conservation restriction at that point.
I'm sure I have a plan that will show those. I'll look for it. Send them. Okay, so nothing else. Can we continue this? Motion to continue?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? And then 2 weeks?
Yes.
We can do 7:20 on May 27th.
That would be fine with me, and I can provide some updates of where things stand, or at least that updated plan to the board at that time.
Thank you. All right, so that's the motion to continue this hearing for East Street lot.
Hold on.
Yeah, don't need to vote.
Well, East Street, A&R lot 1. The motion is to continue until the 27th at 7:20. Secondary, I think so. Mike abstains.
Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you all. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, 7:45, that took a while, we're caught up. All right, now, we've got, at 7:30, we had invasive removal on SVT, White Property, Fragmites, and Japanese Barberry. Is there anyone from SVT?
Okay, Laura was gonna try and call in, but she's not in right now, so maybe we should go to
We've got a
7:45.
45.
and
Yeah,
there's a,
we need to continue 6 to 8 Grove Street.
okay. So I have a motion to continue the NOI for 6 Day Grove Street until 27th, is that
June 10th.
June 10th?
So moved.
Do we have time? Just,
No.
okay, that's. Okay, any discussion? Mike, aye.
Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Thank you. All right, then, we've got 7:45, we're right on time. NOI for Zero County Street, continued from April 20th. There's someone from,
Yes, good evening again, Travis Brown, Turning Point Engineering, representing the applicant. So I wasn't at the last meeting, someone from my office covered that meeting, so I got up to speed, based on those discussions. Also, we believe we satisfied Art Allen's review of the delineation and any outstanding comments. Same with DEP, they had one final comment with regard to the wildlife study, which the commission voted on at the last meeting not to do. So those couple items, I believe, are satisfied. Yesterday, we received engineering and stormwater comments, follow-up comments from Stantec. There was 3 or 4 very minor items with respect to that, couple of stormwater items. Got some information back to Dave Glenn. I did speak to him yesterday. I know there were discussions about him possibly reviewing the local regulations. Based on that conversation, he thought they were pretty similar. There wasn't anything that stood out unless, the commission had something specifically they wanted to look at. Unfortunately, based on the conversation with Dave, anything he does will not be quick. I mean, we're this far in the process. We feel like the design and the stormwater has been reviewed, a couple of times now. And as we previously stated, there's no stormwater being discharged from this site. Everything is captured and infiltrated on site. There's no impacts, beyond this site that, may be problematic. So I guess we can discuss as we see fit, with respect to that. After that meeting, I know work within the riverfront area was still a concern. I had sent Mary an updated plan along with Art with some new disturbance calculations, reduction in Wetlands Protection Act riverfront area disturbance, and then also tabulating the local riverfront area disturbance, even though in the bylaw, there's nothing specific to say you need to be at the 10%, just kind of went with DEP's requirements. So as you can, let me share my screen real quick. So can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here in the, on the plan that I had sent Mary, and, you know, out of this meeting, we would provide a formal full set revised plan. We haven't done that yet because, like I said, we just got comments yesterday for stormwater. So there's a couple items that we're buttoning up. So in this, on this plan, riverfront area calculations, we talked about the stormwater mitigation areas being within that. As we previously discussed, we removed Basin 3. So significant reduction in riverfront disturbance. So that number is down to 4.2% once you take the stormwater out. Under local regulations, which also require 200-foot riverfront from Baker Pond, which is a difference from local requirements and DEP requirements. That number is under 10%, it's at 9.7. So I feel like we've done everything we can do to minimize that disturbance within that 200 feet, and it's in compliance with DEP regulations. So that's the plan. Like I said, there'll be a full size, you know, full set issued. The other thing that I did discuss with Mary as well was open space. In speaking with the planning board, they really don't care what happens with the open space, whether it's, you know, kept with the community under the HOA, or given to the town. They really don't have a purview. So what I had said to Mary and, you know, discussed with the client, they're willing to convey that open space parcel. That parcel would abut Pixies Park. I'm going to flip over to this screen here. I just prepared this for reference tonight. So here's Pixies Park off of Meadow Drive. You know, as we discussed before, there's no parking, there's no real access from Pixies Park. It's a small parcel, you wouldn't be able to go anywhere anyways. But the open space that would be preserved from this project is approximately 7.5 acres. So that would, like I said, directly abut Pixies Park. That would come down here and actually come into Baker's Pond, which is a pretty nice walk in this area of the stream. It's certainly very walkable, nice area. So I also brought this open space area out to Mechanic Street. Now, I know there were conversations about maybe providing a couple parking spaces within this project for access. We don't want to do that. We don't want to bring people from the public into such a small, fairly dense community. So what I had discussed with Mary is maybe providing a couple parking spaces off of Mechanic Street in the area that's kind of already been disturbed for site access for soil testing. That would give the ability to provide at least a walkable path, not a trail, no land disturbance within that open space, but just, you know, maybe clearing some vegetation, hand clearing it to provide a reasonable walking path that would allow access, you know, to Baker Pond back here and also through Pixies Park. In doing that, that open space area actually is more than the development area itself, and proposed bounds to be in this location along the open space, not the bends in the line to delineate open space from the project area. So that was part of the bigger conversations kind of in the background, and then with the planning board, what to do with the open space. And I know on past projects that you have had this open space, I think it was Cobblers, maybe, you know, there was a conservation restriction. Not sure exactly the process that was handled through the commission, but certainly happy to discuss it. With that, I guess I'll just turn it over. Any questions that you may have?
Restriction. At Cobblers, the CR is probably going to be held by the town because the open space is going to continue to be owned by the homeowners association. So here, if the homeowners association continues to own the open space, the town could conceivably hold the CR. If the town is going to own the open space, then if there was a CR, again, you're looking for a land trust or some other entity to partner. In terms of the other thing I just want to say, in terms of bounds, we would want bounds at all the corners of the open space, not just the boundary between the open space and the development, but also all the other corners, that are shown here, like the corners between Pixies Park and in the open space, for example, and then all those other corners, except you probably can't, if one is in Baker's Pond, you can't do that one, but anyway, so that's what we would be looking for, I think, in terms of bounds, is all the corners.
Okay, so I believe Pixies Park is held by the town of Upton, not specifically the Conservation Commission.
And it's,
Yeah, is it this, is it? Go ahead.
I believe, conservation area, I believe it was. We managed it as a conservation area.
Okay,
Check the deed, I'm not sure, it's been a while, but.
so what is kind of the flavor of the board with respect to this open space and how it's handled? Because, we've kind of offered up to convey it to the town. The town can join that with Pixies Park and go from there. Otherwise, I guess it would be held in a homeowners association, with easements to be able to access it. Is there a preference one way or the other?
I would think if we could tie it into Pixies Park would be the simplest and most, easiest, I think. I don't know if that's true or not. Just tie it into Pixies Park.
Anyone else?
Any pros and cons, Mike? Do you see if either approach?
No, I mean, I think actually it would be a little simpler.
Yeah.
You may not have to deal with a CR.
Yeah,
Right.
it makes it faster.
So it's, yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying to convey it to the town, you wouldn't need to do the conservation restriction at that point because would be held by.
Right, unless the planning board happened to require it, but.
I don't believe they will based on conversations with them. That was our thought too, is it would be easier and cleaner. Provide Pixies Park with obviously more land area and then access to Baker Pond, which, nobody really has other than off Old Grafton Road in a public way.
But again, look, talk to the planning board, look at the over 55, the senior housing bylaw, and see what it says about conservation, about the open space.
Yeah, it doesn't say much, honestly. The bylaw requires you to have open space with the 55 and over senior housing community, but that open space doesn't even include the 100-foot buffer strip that they require. So it's a little bit unique. We're offering above and beyond what is actually required under the bylaw.
I think it may say something about a CR in there because all these developments that we've had under this bylaw have had CRs. There's Kenneth Village, there is Rockwood Meadows, there's Collards Creek, there is Upton Ridge. All of those have had CRs. So check the bylaw, and I think the reason for those CRs probably is in the bylaw.
Yeah, I guess, just going back to if it was conveyed to the town, then that goes away, at some point, this is just bounded and conveyed over. And I think that's the cleanest way if you guys are in agreement with that. That would avoid getting a conservation restriction.
Yeah, just gotta review the bylaw language. I think, we need to do that. Our planning board needs to do that. Can I ask if the town acquired this open space, would the developer be willing to build 1 or 2 parking spots where you indicated? And also possibly build a trail bridge across to Pixies.
So I did discuss providing a couple parking spaces, you know, in the area that I show on the plan. The applicant is okay with doing that. I don't think we would be opposed to doing maybe a footbridge, but what I did talk to Mary about is actually it's easier to access Pixies Park on this side. The stream actually runs through here. So you can stay right on this side of the stream and not even have to cross it, is the easiest means of access back out to Meadow Drive.
That's true, but I think there's some concern about the proximity to the abutter there. But that can be discussed. You know, it would be pretty tight. I think the abutter has a fence that's right along the edge there. Pixies. At least they used to.
So it would be the preference to run a footbridge across, potentially.
You know, I think maybe the commission should take a look at this area.
Yeah.
You know, what it's like presently.
I mean, if we can avoid a footbridge,
Yeah.
it's because it's ongoing, but it's.
We don't need more bridges if we can get away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I originally thought it would be a good idea just to stay on that same side. Like I said, it seems like an easier walk, at least for what I viewed from Meadow Drive. But if the commission wants to look at it, I'm happy to go out there and we can get our eyes on it before the next meeting.
I think that'd be a good idea because I know that I just recall being pretty tight there with the abutter on that side.
Is it like a solid fence, a wheat fence, or was it just like a?
I think it was a metal. Can't remember right. That was like 10 years ago.
Which side? The upside or the?
It's on the right side of the fence.
There's some.
I don't recall, we're outside it all the time.
Yeah, I don't recall a fence either.
Maybe it's gone.
So I just brought up Google Earth Street View. So there's their house, which sits up on the hill. So I don't see a fence other than this, looks like a wrought iron or something. But my thought was to come through kind of this open area here,
Yes,
and then you would get into the woods.
The gas line?
There is, yeah, the gas line does run through there. You know, we wouldn't be doing any excavation type work, but there is a gas witness post somewhere in this area. Yeah, right here, which is why I kind of wanted to stay on this side as well. You know, this is quite a bit thicker. Not to say it can't be trail cut through there, but it's looks a lot more dense than it does on the other side.
well,
Sidewalk.
would okay if you have a sidewalk?
Sure.
Just check it out. It open.
When do you folks typically do site walks? During the week or weekends, or what's the
Just-
preference?
Probably do that now. Yeah, you guys wanna do like. You make it like 4 or 5 o'clock or?
Yeah, I mean, I would plan it, and if I can join, I'll just zip over.
Okay.
So it's.
So that's at Pixies Park with me.
We'll schedule a site walk, not tonight, right, let me just send an email around sometimes. Okay. All right,
Thank you. Okay, any other,
well, Marcella still has.
Marcella?
Yeah, as to who holds the CR, does it make any difference who has to maintain the trails, depending on who holds the CR?
It won't be a snare.
What was that?
there may not be a CR.
So, and in that case, I would just want to know what the responsibility of the Land Stewardship Committee is to maintain the property, regardless of who holds or if there is one, or.
I can try to answer that. You know, I think, well, if the town owns it, then I would imagine that it'd be town's responsibility. If the homeowners association eventually owns it, then the CR could include basically within it an easement to allow the town to maintain the trails for public use, or this essentially the Conservation Commission to maintain the trails for public use.
Okay.
You can embed basically you can embed a trail easement within a CR. We did that for Swiftman Farm, for example.
Okay. Another question, is parking allowed on Meadow Drive? Like, could that be the public parking if there's parking permitted there?
There's no signage against it.
Yeah, people park on the road when they have guests.
Yeah, I mean, there are times I think when in the winter and stuff, they don't want parking or something. But I think it's just whatever the town rules are for parking.
But the 2 stops off mechanics.
I don't see any yellow, red curving, or yellow there, so.
I'm just proposing that as an alternative to having, having to do any more disturbance to create a parking spot on Mechanic Street. So I just was wondering if that's an option.
You could get some pushback here from the abutter. Because their driveway is just to the left of this photograph, I believe, right?
I thought they were okay with the parking spot.
No.
Meadow.
This is on Meadow.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
They don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
But I think the driveway is just to the,
Yeah,
a little bit to the left of the photo.
for the houses, yeah.
It's very tight there.
Yeah.
But people could park a
On the
few
street.
feet up the hill there.
Or on this park in the street.
Yeah, just park in the street.
Common sense, you park your car, not if you block somebody's driveway.
And
My
mechanic-
sense,
Yes, sir.
oh,
Yeah, the Mechanic Street area is already disturbed. So it wouldn't be disturbed.
It's already flattened for the most part.
It would just be a dirt.
A patio.
Yeah, just like.
Yeah.
my sense is also that this is going to be used largely by local folks who would walk to the site anyway. Is that, would people think otherwise?
Sounds reasonable.
I mean, I'm not as wedded to the idea of having parking spaces, is all I'm saying.
That's his hand up.
Bill, yes.
I don't think you heard you.
Bill.
Oh, maybe I need to allow him to speak. Sorry.
Bill is, well, that may be from the bylaw, okay. I can't read what it says here, but.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so the bylaw does require restriction. The senior housing.
Is that whoever owns the property?
Yeah, I mean, whoever owns the property, a restriction is required.
Okay.
Yes, so I would just chime in too, to go further. I don't know if you got to this section or not, sir, but ownership and use of common land and open space. The ownership of open space shall either be conveyed to the town of Upton and accepted by it for open space, or be conveyed to a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, there are a lot of options, but regardless who owns the property, I believe the second paragraph says there's a restriction required. However, if you've deeded the land, if Bugsy deeds the land to the town, then the town can go through the process of getting a restriction.
Yeah. On a separate time scale.
Separate task, yes, exactly. So, and the Pixie Parks land is held by the Conservation Commission. No, under the care, custody, and control of the Conservation Commission. And I think I mean, I've certainly parked on Meadow Drive to do work and to check the Pixie Park out. The only time I think parking is prohibited is during the winter season so that the road can be plowed. And I think that's townwide. I mean, that's a townwide restriction for the winter. And I think I agree with Marcella that it'll probably end up largely being used by the local residents. And the other thing about the parking area, where it's been proposed, it looks doable to me, but we just need to be sure that there aren't sightline issues.
Yeah, actually, that's the best location for the sightlines, to be honest. And then with the entrance of the project, there will be some vegetation clearing and regrading along there. I don't foresee any sightlines. In fact, abutters had expressed concerns with the location of the driveway now and indicated that sightlines may be better, down there. What I would say is I would allow enough room that you would be able to turn a vehicle around and pull out rather than back out Mechanic Street.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah, that'll help.
Well, sounds good.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks very much. And anything else, Bill, Marcella?
No.
Yeah, we all set? Shannon? Anybody? All right, well, let's, I think we need to continue this hearing.
Can I just add a couple things?
Sure.
Yeah, so the sidewalk sounds great. So if Mary, you set that up, I'd be glad to meet you folks there. I've pretty much addressed all of planning board's comments near the end. What they had said to me is they're not going to act before the Conservation Commission acts. So I'm playing a little chicken and egg scenario about who's going to go first. I have a planning board meeting on the 26th with them. I know this meeting would be the following day. So I think the last issue is really this open space, unless the commission disagrees, but I think we've addressed, the other peer review concerns, DEP concerns, and, provided a lot of open space and willing to work with you folks to make that happen. So just trying to get an understanding of where we're at and, looking to wrap things up sooner rather than later, assuming we can sort this open space out.
Mary, are there any other
Right,
issues?
well, last meeting, the board had asked for us to look into getting a peer review for the town stormwater bylaw. And we did reach out to Stantec and ask them to look into it. And Stantec, basically, he called me yesterday or today and is like, well, the town bylaw is very similar to the state stormwater standards, and he didn't really see that there would be any benefit by further review, basically. The one thing that he mentioned that is not covered under the state standard that the town has is the phosphorus kind of requirements for phosphorus. And as I am not an engineer, I do not understand what that means, but
Yeah, so I can add a little bit to that, Mary, because I did talk to Dave Glenn, and so in the local stormwater regulations for new development, the requirement is to meet 60% total phosphorus removal on an annual basis. So under the regulations, it clearly states if you do these, I think it's 3 or 4 criteria. So if you meet 1 inch of runoff, you treat 1 inch of runoff from the site, then that requirement is met. So because this site is in a zone 2 and in an ACEC by nature, we have to meet 1 inch anyways. Therefore, that requirement is met. Like I said, I talked to Dave Glenn about that. That was one of his comments from the planning board review. I'd be happy to send you that information to Mary, my response, and to that, citing that section of the regulation. So as far as I'm concerned, we meet that regulation.
and then the other asked potentially for them to look at the climate resiliency under the bylaw, and they were looking into putting a quote together for that. but we haven't received it, basically. So I don't know if the board is still, that would be the only thing that we would be having to do.
Any discussion on whether or not to continue this? At least 2 weeks.
I mean, as long as they're willing to donate, in my mind, as long as they're willing to donate the open space to the town, we can handle any of the back end CR stuff there, as long as there's agreement on that. I don't know if there's any other hurdles to closing the meeting.
I don't understand what you will do for climate resiliency. Is that on this particular spot? I mean, do we have like a plan?
So our, the wetland bylaw was updated like, 3 or 4 years ago to ask people to look at climate resiliency. So basically, a peer reviewer would be just making suggestions of what things they could do for that. The bylaw is, written kind of vaguely. So, I know we had one peer reviewer look at it and pass, said, well, there's no metrics for us to work against. But Stantec, the person from Stantec thought they could come up with some ideas and suggestions. But
I guess
Chris would like to see that
I'd really like to see that.
personally, yeah. And I think we do, that'll give us time to kind of also get the open space issue.
So, yeah, so you're looking to get the climate resiliency peer reviewed?
Possibly.
We provide the climate change adaptation and resiliency with a bunch of information. What Stantec's gonna give you is their opinion on the matter. It's very vague. There's no stormwater leaving the site. The rainfall that we used is greater than what's required in the local stormwater regulations. There's no flooding impacts that would ever get to this site, based on the use. We're not talking extreme heat or any of those other characteristics that you typically look for with climate resiliency. It's my opinion, it's unnecessary. And talking to Stantec, they're not going to get to this until mid to late June. If the board, I'm not sure how the board feels about it, but the information that we provided outlines a bunch of, criteria that we have done, based on even the phosphorus was part of that.
And given the fact that they're donating so much open space, which was almost larger than the project itself, I think that is a nod towards the climate resiliency, protecting that.
If you want that.
I mean, if it was a much larger project,
Yeah,
not
it's a
much
small
open
project.
space, we could push a little harder, but it's not a huge project. And there's gonna be a lot of open space preserved, so. I think it's.
And I think it's a project I would like to see it, but I mean, with you on this site, I think they've provided what they need and what possibly Stantec's gonna say.
So we're going to close this.
So, okay, so questions, which we probably won't need the climate resiliency from what I'm hearing from Stantec, but we still should decide whether or not we would like to close tonight or wait until after the site visit.
I'm okay keeping it open. I'm not pushing to close it tonight. I guess what I would say is, assuming that we can get the open space worked out, what I would like to say to the planning board, because there's a likelihood they may even close it on the 26th, that at least the Conservation Commission is comfortable with the planning board closing it, assuming we, come to some reasonable agreement on the open space. And then we can come back on the 27th and kind of iron everything out, if that sounds reasonable.
Sounds fine to me.
Sounds good.
Okay, sounds good to me.
We can even post the site visit, so we can make a decision if there's a quorum in the site visit.
Okay.
And that occurred before your planning board.
Yeah, if we can just get that worked out, I think we'd have enough information at least to give them the option to, close it, or maybe they won't, but I think we've addressed everything, so. Okay.
I have a second comment, and I think we may have discussed this already. So at the edge of the open space, is that going to be the same kind of near where the townhouses are as the limit of work? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, so this open space essentially follows the limit of work for the project. I kept it just outside just to be safe. You know, I don't want to run into the situation where now, okay, they, took something down where we weren't supposed to, so yes, this is basically follows that limit of work line.
Yeah, it makes it simpler for the bounds, because we may, the limit of work will probably be maintained even if it belongs to the homeowners association, but
Right.
if, okay.
Yeah, so that bound would be at the edge of that lawn area where it transitions to a wooded area and would be clearly defined.
Yeah, okay, yep, that was my only question. Okay,
Sounds good. Okay, so let's continue this until the 27th. Do we have time? The last thing we had was 7:20.
yeah, so we can do 7:30.
Okay, so the motion to continue the Zero Mechanic Street hearing until 7:30 on May
27th.
27th.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mike, aye.
Palmer,
Alan, aye.
Yeah,
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Travis.
Have a good night. Bye.
We'll see you. Thank you. Alright, is,
Patrick is
Laura,
here.
is Laura on? Just,
She sent me an email and was having trouble getting on.
okay.
So,
Okay, so this is, RDA for 75 Elm Street?
Yep.
Okay. And it's, this was at scheduled 8 o'clock, okay, so RDA for 75 Elm Street, fill in backyard, removal of 20 white pines, continued from April 22nd. Mary.
all right, so last meeting we discussed the number of trees was uncertain. And the board wanted me to go out and do a site visit and just identify the exact number of trees. And so we did that. I share my screen. They're not all identified in the pictures, but there's a couple general areas. So in this picture, the stream is to the right. And I had not really walked this area with Patrick before. I wasn't really aware of what he wanted to do in this area. But Patrick, I believe that most of these white pines in here you had slated for removal, and I wrote down how many there were. I think there were 7 in this area.
I think that my memory serves me right. Yeah.
Yeah, there were 7 in that area. Okay. And then, so the total trees, last time we were talking, is it 20, is it 50? The total we counted that he would like to remove is 26. So there's 7 in this area here, and these are, ranging from, 20 feet away from the stream, or 10 or 20 at the closest, and then some are many further. So these are not super close to the stream in this section. But Patrick, I thought about this afterwards. How are you gonna get, this is the hardest to access. How are you gonna get equipment in this section? Was kind of a question that I had.
The contractor that we're working with looked at the site and he was able to get his pieces of equipment there. I haven't seen what he has, but he did do an assessment of the site. He did say it would probably, flatten out some of the grass. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. But he did reassure me that he was able to get what he needed over there.
Okay, yeah, seems to be the hardest area to access. And then these are his house is over here. The pond is, you can just barely see the pond. So there were, I think, 5 trees in this section. I don't think I have a picture of all of them, but it includes these large white pines.
And the pond is beyond.
Okay, there's several resource areas on this property. This is like a pond that's in the lawn that's beyond. This is a man-made pond. And then behind us is a creek, which Patrick had told me the creek obviously was pre-existing, but ages ago was widened to kind of form a pool in it. And so this property has had a lot of, kind of alteration over the years. And then, so this is the area of the stream that was widened, and it's a lovely kind of pool in the stream. And along that section, there were 10 white pines on this side of the brook, and they're right on the bank, about 5 feet off of the stream.
So why do they have to be removed? There's no house there.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of debris that falls down, and the stream in the back is sort of an allure, and from the estate sale, the great-great-grandfather built it through a backhoe for the kids to play and enjoy, and so the kids gravitate towards this boundary, and it brings pause and concern that a lot of these white pines have branches that continually fall down, and I don't want to be in a situation where one of my kids gets hurt. I'm not attesting to remove all the trees, just the ones that are really sort of in the areas where there's a lot of play and whatnot. As you can see, there's a shed in the back there. That's abutting on a pine and then another tree, and that's already been damaged. So that's the main reason.
Just right. Right in
That
the middle
little thing
there.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I wasn't anticipating it when we first bought the house 2 years ago, but 1 year in, and Mary can attest, there's piles and piles and piles and piles and piles of branches, large branches, some really heavy, and some trees in and of themselves that have fallen since I've been here within the short period of 2 years. Mary can also attest that just looking over the stream, there's like 6 or 8 massive pines that have just fallen over and just hanging in the stream from lack of, no one being able to take care of it. But that's the gist.
Another word would be habitat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with taking down that one tree that's right near the shed there.
Right behind, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in front or behind, but there's one that looks really close. I don't know if the shed was there first or the tree was there first, but looks like the shed was put there afterwards. But other than that, I don't see any other trees that are potentially impacting the house.
Any other comments?
What house is this?
Um,
75.
75. Yeah, I can pull up my report that I had done a long time ago when we first looked at this. I think you can see the map. Okay. All right, so here's pond. Here, the kind of the man-made pond in the yard. The stream runs back through the woods. This is kind of a widened area of that. So a lot of these trees are along here. I think the first picture I showed you was trees from this area. And Patrick, you do know where your property line is there, right?
Right.
Because it looked like they're close to the property line. And then I think the shed is down here. And then there were a few trees next to this pond that you wanted to remove as well. So this is kind of the overview of where they are.
And the house is way up near the road.
Yeah, the house is up here
So none of these, Mary, just to clarify, none of those trees, except for that one really
near the
on
shed,
top of the shed,
are hazard trees.
are hazard trees. Okay.
That's true.
And the purpose is to clear a play area for children.
Yeah,
The pond and the stream.
Yeah, the kids love going down in that area, and they're constantly there, and there's a lot of branches that continually fall down while they're playing, and it's concerning. And that area was never man-made. It was an area that was sort of built up by the great-great-great-grandfather at the time, and it was supposed to be intended to be sort of like bucolic, and kids, we have wonderful birthday parties, and I have my cousins And my nieces and nephews always, they're drawn to that area. And so there's been situations where I've seen, you know, branches fall down and hit the kids. Not hit the kids, but you know, you fear that what happens if one hits the kid. It's concerning. I mean, in Grafton, you know, I think it was in 2025, and an older gentleman in his 80s got hit by a tree and got killed. You know, I know that there's a proposal to take down 15 trees in a hiking area right here in Upton. It's an area that has a lot of attention, and I would just, as a homeowner and as a father, just would like it to be safe.
Yeah, I would argue that the trees provide some shade, and your kids will thank you in the future for not having skin cancer. So, I mean, I just don't, there's nothing to me except that one tree that looks like a hazard tree. That's it.
Branches.
Are any of those trees dead, Mary? Or
I think there may be a few that are dead, but most are alive, right? I think there were a few up in this section that were dead. I didn't write down exactly.
Yeah, I think there were like maybe
Did he
5 or
want
6 that we reviewed that were dead.
did he want the dead trees taken down?
Yeah.
I'm-
There's a
I'm-
lot of pine.
I'm not
The bark is
opposed,
falling.
not opposed to the dead trees coming down and that tree by the shed, but the other trees just seem fine to me. I don't look at those as a hazard.
I think there may have been 1 or 2 dead ones in this section.
Yeah, there was, I think, a few dead ones there, and then near the shed, the one in front of the shed and the one, like, there's literally like both the one behind the shed and one in front of the shed. I think when we looked at it, Mary, it was like a budding in the shed. I don't know why they built the shed between those trees, but the shed's got damage on the roof. And then across from the shed, I think there's about 2 dead trees there.
Or in the kind of behind these pines there.
No, it's actually on the right side. If you're looking at the shed, it's on the right side of the shed. As we head up toward the house, there was 2 dead
Oh, on
trees.
this-
Remember, we were
the
looking at the bark that was falling down.
I'm with him taking down the dead trees and, you know, by the thing, but there are those other trees, I don't see any reason to take them down. It's a wetland, it's.
Okay.
Is
Any
it
other?
is it a
any other-
wetland? I mean, it's a man-made wetland though. Well, it's not a natural wetland.
It's a resource area.
Yeah, it's a resource.
Okay.
You call it an accidental wetland, but they're regulated, they're protected. Any other comments from anybody on the commission or Patrick or?
Well, I just do have a question. If an incident does happen, I mean, we have record of this, right? Of this
Yeah.
meeting and the votes. Okay.
Yep.
A recording, he could have a recording.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that I've done my due diligence on my part. That's all.
Ready to
Okay.
move on?
Yeah, so, there's nothing else. I entertain a motion to close this hearing for an RDA at 75 Elm Street.
So moved.
Second,
Further discussion, Mike on?
Tom,
Ellen,
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, so, Mary, should we discuss this now, or do you want to wait since we've got,
We can do it later.
we've got
Just
we're behind?
the conditions, yeah.
Okay, so Patrick, we'll discuss, how we rule on this RDA later on tonight. We're gonna just try to take some other hearings.
Sounds
that
good.
are- Okay, so you can stick around if you want to listen to our deliberations.
Okay.
Can't-
We'll do.
Monday will be, but we'll get to tonight.
yeah,
All right, so it is
thank you.
8:33. In the solar field, that's continued.
Yes, that's.
One sixty-nine South Silver here. So now we have,
So we should vote on the continuance.
oh, yes, thank you. Okay, a motion to continue the NOI for 169 South Street Solar Field, until,
June 10th.
June 10th?
Yes, June 10th, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, my gosh.
Oh, my.
Aye.
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Thank you. All right, now we're on to RDA for Grafton up the railroad, wetland delineation accuracy. Mary, could you read the,
Sorry.
no, go, are you here?
We're not here, no. We're just listening.
Okay, all right. So Mary, could you read the, public notice for that one?
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, May 13th at 8:20 p.m. A request for determination of applicability filed by Thomas Lewis for vegetation management in the Grafton Upwell Railroad right of way between Grafton and Hopedale town lines. And I don't know if we have anyone here. Is there some, raise your hand if you are an attendee and you are here to talk about this project. Yeah, I'm not I wasn't sure if anyone was gonna come. Yeah, I can share, talk about this project.
So we can, so I'm Scott Goddard from Goddard Consulting, so John Deli, Grafton Trail is a regular client of mine.
Oh,
So
okay.
I discussed this project with him today, and I'm not here intentionally for this, I'm actually next Monday, well, and 169 South Street. And the mechanics one too, but anyways, I can speak to this one, and I'd be happy to, if you wanna pull up the RDA. It was filed by TEC up in Portland, Maine. Are you able to share the screen of the, okay, great. Yeah, so in brief, this is it's the route along the Grafton Upton Railroad, and this is re-up the ongoing vegetation and management program that's been going on. The wetlands are the same wetland lines that have been used historically on this property and previously in years past been evaluated and recognized along the railroad. So there hasn't been a new survey or a new wetland line or anything like that. It's really just taking what has been going and giving it a re-up. So this identifies the spray zones and the no spray zones that are in adjacent as the railroad crosses through wetland areas. There was an attached vegetation management plan too that accompanied the RDA as well as a separate document. But the real purpose here is where and how they spray and don't spray management of vegetation along the railroad.
Could you just tell us what the different shading means? I can't read.
Yeah, so the yellow zone are the no spray zones, and those are the ones that are right up in proximity to wetlands. And then the blue zones is where the spraying would occur.
Can you zoom in on that a little bit?
You do hand removal in those no spray zones?
Yeah, I think they were just kind of prune it by hand. It's just to keep the vegetation knocked back for the railroad.
What's the likelihood of runoff from the blue zone to the yellow zone?
We'd have to, maybe we could open up the VMP attachment to get some more details on it. I'm a little bit out of my element on this, but this was the same protocol done before. I don't think the quantity that are regularly used are ones that are intended to create levels of runoff. It's just minimum capacity for creating the herbicide application along the proposed zoning. But if you want detailed answers like that, then I would have to pause and dig into it, get back to you at the next meeting.
I'm just curious about any unintended contamination. into
Right.
the-
It's a contact herbicide.
Yes, that is correct.
So how far in past the rail road does it go? Do you just spray it?
It's just within the right of way, yeah, it's
2 feet or 20 feet or?
Right away, whatever, right away.
What is the right of way? Okay, that's the question.
what's the width of it?
Yeah.
I mean, we'd probably have to break out the town site plans, but you know, you have the tracks and you have, I don't know what it is, 10, 15 feet on either side, something like that. You know, look with the.
I do not.
I don't know, yeah, okay, I'm a little winging it here.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
goal here is really just to notify you that, you know, they don't want to impact the wetlands as they're managing it. So they know where the zones are, they know where to turn on and off the spray as they do the maintenance. And the wetland lines haven't changed, like beaver activity hasn't changed any conditions along the. Not that I'm aware of, no. Is there any known beavers that you guys are aware of in that zone?
There are beavers along that railroad line.
Yeah, so we had the same thing, 5 years ago, which Dave reviewed. And I don't think he actually walked the railroad line. I didn't have I would have tried to, I didn't have a chance, it's too busy.
Either side of Chestnut Street, you got beavers on both sides.
Right, yeah, and
So I guess I'm just wondering if, I don't know if it'd be a regulated wetland, but it might be a ponded area caused by beavers, that.
right, so like,
Is it new
if
feature?
you think of near where the railroad yard is, the beavers have been in there, that's near the railroad. But it seems like the areas that were no spray zone are areas where the railroad tracks have like open water on both sides. A couple of those ponded areas, I looked at it all on your map, there's definitely ponded areas on both sides. There are some, like, for example, we know there's a little pool, vernal pool, off of Dogwood Drive that's right next to the railroad. But that's not, I don't know how, it's maybe, 20 feet off though, so that's not included in the no spray zone. So I think there's a lot of little areas like that that are not included, but then again, it's not, the railroad is not actually right up next to the water where it is in some of the places. Basically, the no spray zones are like over the West River, Centerbrook, the stream crossings. And then there's a couple areas where the railroad goes through wetlands where there's no spray zones, through like pond wetlands.
So should we continue this, maybe, to have a little bit more information, or are you comfortable? Is everybody comfortable with, reissuing, basically, reissuing this?
Yeah, I think comfortable with a reissue and maybe a back burner project, for next time it comes up, is to make sure that
A little bit more field work.
a little bit more field work.
And then,
Because basically the whole town is in a limited spray zone, and then there's certain areas that are no spray.
and we could, that the RDA couldn't mention, this area near Crosswinds, right?
Yeah, we could reach out to them and say,
Right.
there's this area that we're aware of. I mean, if you look at the Mass GIS where the railroad goes, there's a whole ton of ponds that actually come real close that they're not including in their limited spray area, but I think maybe it's kind of hard to tell from the Mass GIS, but they may be 25 to 30 feet off. And since this is, herbicide application, I'm not sure.
It definitely shouldn't be having drifts that far.
Right, exactly.
They're supposed to apply that when it's windy, that kind of thing, as part of their SOP. Okay, well, any other discussion, Marcella?
No, I would like to know a little bit more
Jen?
a little bit more about it, so.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what's been said today.
So, motion to close the RDA for Grafton Upton Railroad wetland delineation accuracy as related to herbicide application.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none,
Tom, I.
Ellen,
Sandy, I.
Shannon and I.
Marcella, I.
Thank you. So we'll discuss the RA later on.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we've got 8:44, so we're on to NOI for 45 Milford Street, construction of townhouses, 27 units. This is a new filing. Mary, could you please read the public notice for this?
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, May 13th at 8:30 p.m. A notice of intent filed by 45 Milford Street LLC for the construction of 4 affordable housing townhouse style condominiums and associated driveway, parking, landscaping, and stormwater management at 45 Milford Street. 2 of the proposed buildings and portions of the parking lot, driveway, and stormwater management features are within the 100-foot buffer zone cast off from the bordering vegetated wetland. There will be 27 total units.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Pine. Good to see you all again. I work for the developer, Kevin Lobitzer. We're back with another kind of 40B. This one is for sale townhomes. We are on our about to be on our 3rd zoning board meeting, so we thought it'd be a good time to kind of come in and kind of present the project. We have Scott here, we've got a consulting, is going to kind of present the project for us.
Hey, great. We also have with us Tom Schutz from my office, who's also a wetland scientist, and Peter Lavoy is from DNL, and he is on the call as well, or at least I think he is. I can't see everybody from.
Promote them to panelists.
That'd be great. Yeah, if you could make Tom and Peter both panelists, that would be great. And then
they can share their
if
screens.
Tom will share his screen and has a brief presentation that I can walk you through. So the site is 45 Milford. The site is not unfamiliar to the Conservation Commission. We were before you in 2024 with an ANRAD because there are extensive wetlands on the site along with an intermittent stream channel. Can you advance Tom Schutz as well? That way he could.
Should be, yeah, they're both on.
Okay, I don't see him on the, there we go, perfect, excellent. Yeah, so the orientation of the site, the top right-hand corner is the USGS map with the intermittent stream running through it in the blue line, exactly. Down below in the aerial shows the aerial overlay, and then the blue zone is just from Mass GIS overlay district. But the more detailed plan of existing conditions is the major site plan of display with the coloring rendering. The blue zone is the bordering vegetated wetlands, again, as confirmed in the ORAD. So it has been reviewed thoroughly, the accuracy of the delineation, and the bank of the intermittent stream is that pink zone internal to the BVW that runs through the site. And we received a commentary from your staff about that being mapped as a cold water fishery. So we have set also here the buffer zones. So the purple zone is the 30-foot, yellow 50 feet, and green brings us out to 100 feet. There was also a notation again from staff that this does abut the property at 41 Milford, and that's a site that I've been involved with this board as well, with Mr. Wombolt, and there's that isolated feature on the site that it would be not applicable for the purposes of this discussion, because if it were to be jurisdictional under the bylaw, for example, it wouldn't reach us with a buffer zone, seeing that this is an application only under the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and not under Upton's Wetlands Protection Bylaw due to the 40B nature of it. So the proposal is on the next sheet. It is a 40B townhouse style project. The units are shown there in yellow, and largely what you're looking at on that left-hand side of the site, that's all in light green. That is really our resource area, right? So that's why no development is shown there. And we clip the access drive and parking to those 2 buildings on that left side. Yeah, this is part. That's just a rotated version of the same plan. So the wetlands there and the buffer zones all on the right hand side of the plan. You can see that the buildings encroach into the 100-foot buffer zone and partially into within 50 feet. There is no work proposed within 30 feet to the wetlands. So even though under the Wetland Protection Act, we could arguably propose buildings closer to the wetlands that are shown, due to our effort to comply in substance with a lot of the Upton Wetlands bylaw, the buildings are held back to the outer part of the buffer zone. No work is proposed within wetlands, so there's no wetland filling and no alteration to the bank of the intermittent stream. There is sewer connection available to us, and the stormwater is being managed by infiltration units, and Peter can, Peter, this might be a good time if you could just jump in and talk through the stormwater setup here.
Okay, so the drainage was designed following the stormwater management guidelines. We also did soil testing throughout the property to determine where groundwater was. So we have 2 open basins. One is located behind the lower portion of the building. And then the other one is located up near the entrance. So those are the 2 open ones. And then we have 3 underground basins throughout the property. All roof runoff will be collected and directed into the underground basins for infiltration. And then mainly the pavement would be going into the open basins, so that they are infiltration basins. So they would have basically a 4-bay, and then it would go into the infiltration portion of the basin. We do meet stormwater management, the 80% removal, and we also decrease rate and volume to our interest points. And the interest point basically would be the wetland in this particular project. So we are not increasing any rate or volume into the wetland. Like Scott said, that we have access to sewer and water off of Milford Street, and that would come up the main entrance and then circle around the circle area, and the units would be serviced by that. That's basically it. Like I said, we do meet all of stormwater management for TSS removal, recharge, and not impacting our interest point, which would be the wetland.
And if I could just add one more thing, just so we had this confusion with the zoning department. So if any member drives by the site right now, you may see like some heavy machinery moving around, a lot of earthwork. That is not us. We are letting the town kind of stage there for the water and sewer kind of addition. So if you see a lot of work going on, that we had this confusion for, not us. It's not us right now. So we're just helping out the town. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that in case someone drove by this week and wanted to call them before they called Mary. That's it.
As long as you have.
Equipment is from the town.
That is, yes, from everything on the site right now is from the town, and they're kind of doing that. We're letting the town be there free of charge. So.
Yeah.
The town's construction. It's not the town, it's the company that.
Yes, correct. Correct,
Yeah,
yes.
I have a question on that. Even the large stock, because I know you guys did a demo on the buildings.
Yes,
Right,
yeah.
because we ran the building permit through for that, but the large stockpiles of dirt.
Oh, yeah, that is all
That's
the company the town is hiring,
Okay.
yes.
That's curious.
Yeah, I'm just curious, is there any need for any kind of erosion controls there?
The silt fence has been installed, and there is actually, I'm meeting actually with Emily Church tomorrow, because the erosion controls are not functioning to the top peak of their performance. So some work needs to be done, and I think this is a little bit sticky as to whether that work on that site is covered by the existing request for determination of applicability. Because that wasn't like included on the plans for a stockpiling area. I was talking about that with Emily Church, so I'm not
Just
exactly
clearly
where
knows Emily Church is.
Emily Church is is a town consultant, I think, time. Bond.
Yes, yeah, I want to say she's the project manager for Time Bond.
Project manager for time, yeah, and so she's helping to run the town project, but as we were talking over. You know, that work on the site, you know, it's not specifically called out in the plans for a stockpile area or anything, so technically it may be unpermitted in that sense, so just something for us to kind of be aware of as we move along.
So bottom line, the erosion control.
But there is erosion control there.
Belongs to the owner of the property.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That
Yeah,
was my
because
question.
yeah, I don't have a copy of whatever, because
Just-
Emily
just
Church
throwing it out
said
there.
that the agreement is actually between the contractor DEG, I believe, and
Yes.
Lotus. Yeah, so this is and we're not, and she said she
Really
wasn't
on
privy
them,
to it either.
yeah. It's really on them,
Yeah.
and that's their responsibility.
Right,
But you can meet with her and
I'm meeting with her.
it'll be made clear that the erosion control has to be
fixed.
and functional.
Yeah, this is gonna come up later, but maybe you guys should know it now that. You guys are probably aware that the culvert under 140 is, you know, gonna be replaced. So someone from the state was there yesterday or 2 days ago. And just doing some of their work, and they noted all the work that was going around and thought there had been wetland violations. They were looking at the 41 saying, oh, there's all this sedimentation in that lot, but. That's you know, a result of the previous work there. And they also thought there may have been some siltation in the stream. That's Emily and I are gonna go look at that. They thought it was going through the culvert, which of course we know is blocked. So we're just gonna look at the site and see what we can ascertain tomorrow. But so, yeah, someone from the state did kind of say, hey, what's going on here? And they reached out to DEP and DEP reached out to me and said, what's going on here? So that, just to let you know, that's.
Right.
Yes.
I'm Dick Henderson, I'm the right man here, but the state started, the state contractor for the culvert on Route 140 started cutting trees today at the culvert, on this side of the culvert. And people thought it was the other contractor, but it's the contractor that has the contract for the culvert under 140 that's working on that side of 40.
They were cutting the trees.
Yes.
I saw them cutting trees.
You did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that wasn't, okay, but they don't have a application, they don't have any permitting through us yet.
No.
So the culvert work hasn't been permitted?
No. I think they were just out there reviewing the site, and I was not aware that the tree cutting is related to the culvert.
I think they gotta move the guardrail back that in order to get some road width there, in order for the traffic in, and I think that's the preliminary work they may be doing.
There's a lot of work going on in this.
It's like who's on first.
That's right.
Yeah, just circling back to this, one more comment is that DEP hasn't yet issued a file number or any comments, so. I don't think we're in a position to even consider closing this, we're just presenting it for the first time with you guys.
Yeah.
All right, so any comments from the commission, either in person or online? At this time, or questions? I don't know if there's anyone from the public here who might want to make a comment.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And so 36 Milton Street. With regards to your abutter at 41 Belfort Street. I don't, if Mr. Goddard could explain to me why that's not considered a wetland resource to you.
I think it's a fair conversation, but probably not in the context of this meeting, because this meeting's for 45. I don't want to conflate the two.
But you're not in, that's not an island, you know, so
Well,
there's
I get it.
wetland on the other side, but.
I mean, through the chair, you know, I think discussing an abutting property that's not before the commission, you know, is a conversation we could take offline, or like we could talk out in the hallway maybe, or something like that. I just don't want to conflate the two adjacent properties into this conversation.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of history behind the wetland on the other property. I don't think we need to rehash it.
Thank you.
But feel free to talk, you know.
I'll grab you.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks.
Anything else? Anyone online?
Hands
I
up.
think there was a hand up.
Yeah, I've got a question. I'm just noticing that a couple of the units don't have the little square at the end of the rectangle. What is that little square?
It's a deck.
Okay, so it's not, is that going to include like a cement base or, I'm just wondering if it's, there's a 4 units up on the upper right hand there that encroach into the 50 no build zone, and just wondering if they need to be there, or if there's some alternative.
I mean, those are standard decks, so there would be sonotubes and the deck would be on the sonotube.
Okay, so the only disturbance of the soil would be where the tubes are implanted?
I would say, yeah, there is a little bit, I think there is a little bit of, yeah, there is a little grading in that area too, because we had to bring in material to grade it out in the back of the unit, but the deck would be the only thing that would be permanent, like a permanent structure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
I'd just like to make one comment. I just want the commission to know that Stantec had finished their first review for the ZBA, and we are working on a response to their review on the stormwater. So we are working on that.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Right, hearing nothing else right now, let's entertain a motion to continue this hearing.
I think the board needs to decide if you want to get an independent wetland review. So you could consider. This would not be for the ORAD is obviously already approved, but just to look at Wetlands Protection Act. Maybe they can make recommendations for the cold water fishery and how that could be.
So your recommendation would be that we do bring someone on. Okay. Any discussion on that or motion?
With the purpose, could we vet through the purpose and scope and intent of that? Just because I'm wondering, is it just to help write better conditions adjacent to the cold water fisheries, that kind of thing? Or are you talking about stormwater review, which is happening with Stantec?
No, it would not be stormwater.
So
It would just be reviewing under the Wetlands Protection Act, anything I've made a missed in my review, a check. This is a large project on a small site, and I think it warrants a other party review.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously the stormwater is being taken care of by Stantec.
So they wouldn't be reviewing the wetland boundary, they wouldn't be reviewing the stormwater, so the only thing that the scope of effort that you would be seeking would be someone to help suggest conditions for the project, or what am I?
Yeah, just suggest ways that, just
Reduce impact.
reduce it.
Yeah, so the way that, the regs are written, and I think in your staff's report today, if there's, when we talk about reduce impact, it's reduce impact to the wetlands.
Mhm.
So in this case here, since we have no impacts proposed to the wetlands, so it's hard to reduce something to beyond nothing, right? So, if we were impacting wetlands, I'd be totally with you. I'd say makes a lot of sense. We can look at alternatives, minimize, mitigate, all avoidance, all those kind of things. But in this case, since our work is in the outer part of the buffer zone with no wetland impact, again, it's the decision of the board. But I'm just wondering, I'm just having a hard time understanding what the effort would be in a peer review effort.
Right, well, we all know that buffer zones are highly important to
For
the
sure.
protection of wetlands.
No doubt.
And this will be substantial impact to the buffer zones, and so I just think it is helpful to have a third party review on this site. It's a big project, it's a small site.
It's sort of our policy to do it on big projects.
And who would you seek to use?
In the past, we've used Ecotech.
Would it be possible maybe to loop in Stantec, just because they're already doing the kind of stormwater management, and I know they're kind of a bigger firm and they can kind of, would that be something the board would consider, just
under one roof.
Might be better to have another independent set of eyes, just so that to the extent that maybe you're already tied too closely to it, and, just get another opinion, more opinions, read, better outcomes, I think.
Objective.
We used Ecotech several times. I'm happy with the work that they do for us.
Yeah, we don't have an objection to that. I talked to Art Allen on the phone today, he's retiring at the end of July.
Really?
Yeah.
An institution. Okay. So,
So we may not be on this.
No, he's peer reviewing another site of mine in Medway, so there wouldn't be a conflict or anything like that.
all right, so, just maybe we'll have a vote, but we will, reach out to Ecotech to see if they're interested in doing a third-party review here, and, then to continue this hearing, do we want to continue it for, 2 weeks?
Or do you want the June
Or do you want-
Well, so if you're gonna elicit peer review and we have to wait for Stantec's review, I don't know, what do you think?
NDP.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, unless the peer review probably isn't gonna be able to turn around in 2 weeks, right? Maybe we go, the meeting after that.
Unless do we have to if we, in 2 weeks, do we need to discuss the, whether or not you're able to secure peer review and, get their kind of scope approval, or does that all happen? Do you guys need to meet to?
I can work with that with Mary offline, right?
Yeah, I think in the past, board has voted to, approve it, conditionally, and then we'll sign it by the next meeting if he gives a proposal. So if you wanna, I guess maybe we need to discuss that for the meeting technically. You guys wouldn't have to be there necessarily.
If it keeps the process moving, I'd say keep the meeting in 2 weeks, so we don't get hung up on it.
Let's do that. Mary can communicate with you, you may not even have to show up. You may just
Yeah, or we could just
plan
hop on
plan-
remotely
plan
or
on-
anything like that.
Plan on continuing it for another 2 weeks. Let's, all right, so that'll be, the 27th, that we want to say 7:45?
Sure.
It's 45 Milford Street. Okay, do I have a motion to continue 45 Milford until 7:45 on May 27th?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Ellen, I.
Sandy, I.
Dan and I.
Marcella, I.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Okay. All right. Okay, we have now have. NOI for 100 Pleasant Street, DPW facility expansion and improvement. Mary, could you please read the,
All right, notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. Notice intent filed by, actually 8:45, notice of intent filed by Dennis Westgate, Upton Department of Public Works for improvements to the existing DPW facility within the wetland resource area buffer zone at 100 Pleasant Street.
just FYI, if no one.
And I think I need to commit people into.
Yes, in case you didn't notice, it did pass, both town meeting and the ballot, so. Congratulations, sir.
That's great news, thank you.
Does Stephen Kirby need to be on too?
He won't be presenting.
I'll just
There's also Tony Westmiser's.
Uh,
There should be 3 that will be presenting.
I'll just put them all on there in case they need to add something on.
Yeah, great.
So I think we
Should be
officially,
5 in total in the case.
so we have Jesse O'Donnell, Megan Kearns, Tony W. And
Be Russell.
Russ Becker,
Yes, please.
Stephen Kirby.
Yes.
Yes. There we are.
So I'll just introduce real quick. My name is JP Parnas. I'm the project manager and design architect for the Public Works Department, working with Dennis Westgate. And we're here to present the project to propose a new addition and renovation to the existing garage at 100 Pleasant Street. And I will turn it over to my team. We have Jesse O'Donnell, civil engineer, and Russ Rucker, also civil engineer, and Megan Kearns, wetland scientist. So the three of them are, I think, at least Jesse and Megan will present.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. My name is Megan Kearns. I am a wetland scientist with Weston Sampson. I'm just going to quickly go over the existing conditions and wetland resource areas on site. So the delineation took place in July of last year. There are bordering vegetated wetlands shown in green, isolated vegetated wetlands shown in yellow, quite a few buffer zones, which I won't go through yet because Jesse's going to walk through a few of them on the next slides, and a few certified vernal pools. This site is a little funky as the vernal pools that are certified are actually shown on the natural heritage layer as potential vernal pools, but they are in fact certified vernal pools. So I've just called them out here. There's one toward the north portion of the site, and then two in the southern portion of the site. Then there are two other additional potential vernal pools, but no certification for those. So I'll turn it over to Jesse to sort of walk through the proposed project and in relation to these wetland resource areas.
Thank you, Megan. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jesse. I am the civil engineer working on the project. I'd like to take the remainder of the presentation tonight to discuss the proposed project. But for starters, why don't we take a minute on the existing site plan here? I have color coded it just to be interactive for the intents and purposes of the meeting tonight. So the extents of the parcel are indicated in a thick black line here. It's a 10.9 acre property. The vegetated wetlands associated with the three vernal pools slash ponds that Megan just discussed on the last slide are shown in blue on this plan. The existing DPW building is shown in a dull red color in the front of the site. Just behind it is the small vehicle fueling structure. And behind that is the existing salt storage shed. The existing extent of asphalt pavement on the site is indicated in gray on this existing
You feeling
plan.
okay?
And the material stockpiles that the DPW has on the site are just behind the gray pavement area. These are aggregate stockpiles and equipment stockpiles. So with everyone familiarized with the existing plan here, I'll move to the proposed site plan. This is a bit more zoomed in, so you can see that the two vernal pools off to the right and on the bottom are just off the screen, but the vernal pool to the north of the site remains on the screen and is above the project here. Our proposed limit of work is indicated by an orange color. The work area does not propose to work in any of the wooded areas adjacent to the vernal pools. In other words, we're planning to keep our limit of work within the lawn and the previously developed areas. You'll see in the top left that the project does propose the limit of work to extend out into the Pleasant Street and Maple Street intersection. This is to accommodate trenching for a proposed sewer pipe. The existing site is on a septic service that is proposed to be abandoned, and the floor drains and the sanitary sewer associated with the existing building and or the proposed structure will be conveyed to a new sewer pipe that will go out and connect to the existing sewer structure in the right of way. So on this plan, you will see the dull red color indicates the existing DPW building, which is a vehicle storage facility primarily. That is proposed to remain as it exists in place, as well as the salt shed, also indicated in that same red color in the rear portion of the site. There are two existing structures that are planned to remain but be relocated. These include that small vehicle fueling area that is proposed to be relocated immediately behind the salt shed, as you can see in that teal green color. And then in existing conditions, there exists a fabric storage structure immediately behind the existing DPW building that will be shifted south to the corner of the site, as shown in green on the plan as well. And then to the most important piece here, we have in pink the proposed structures. First is the renovation, the addition to the DPW building. This is proposed immediately on the south wall of the existing DPW building, and it contains administration and office space, as well as vehicle maintenance space and a wash bay with supporting areas. Just off to the northeast of that is a proposed a equipment storage canopy to the right of a proposed trash enclosure. And then we are proposing a new parking area virtually in the same spot as the existing parking area, but new pavement and new striping as well, and a few additional spaces as well. I would like to mention that the project does propose to repave the site. So generally where you see gray areas on this plan, the gray hatched color is where the new pavement is proposed. We're generally proposing to maintain the same extent of pavement, but just to replace all the pavement on the site to improve the condition of that pavement. That said, the site does propose to extend the limits of pavement to the rear of the site a bit, generally speaking, into that existing stockpile area, which you can see some of those stockpiles depicted in a lighter gray color underneath the colors on this plan. So before I go ahead and start showing all of the buffer zones on this plan relative to the proposed orange limit of work area, I'd like to quantify it in the form of a table first. So on this table, we have all 7 categories of buffer zones here. The vast majority of them are local buffer zones. And for this presentation, I'd like to refer to buffer zones as jurisdictional in nature or performance-based. When I say performance-based, I mean the buffer zones that require a no disturb requirement or a no build requirement. So there are 4 performance-based buffer zones that we're working with in proximity to the vernal pools on the site. The project complies with 2 of those 4 performance-based buffers and requests variances for the other 2 of those 4. So the 2 performance-based buffer zones that we comply with are the 30-foot wetland no disturb zone and the 75-foot wetland no impervious zone. We are requesting variances for disturbance proposed in the 100-foot no disturb pond buffer that's associated with the pond just to the northeast of the site. And for that same pond, we are requesting a variance for disturbance within the 50-foot vernal pool no disturb buffer. And in 2 slides, I will get more into these variance-based buffers and how we're going to request variances for that work. But for starters, I'd like to just familiarize everyone with the most expansive jurisdictional buffer on the site. This does not have any no disturb or no impervious requirements associated with it, but it is the jurisdictional buffer, the 200-foot local pond buffer. So this just gives the commission a way of seeing what elements of the site do lie within their jurisdiction. So the entire north driveway, as you can see, lies within the jurisdiction, as does a portion of that proposed DPW addition, a portion of the equipment storage canopy, and the entire parking area in general. Additionally, the vernal pool that is just off the screen to the right generates a 200-foot local pond buffer that encompasses some of the rear stockpile area on the site too. So with that in mind, I'd like to get into those 2 performance-based buffers that we are requesting variances from. First in green is the 100-foot no disturb pond buffer. You can see where that intersects our proposed limit of work in orange. Essentially, it intersects a portion of that northerly driveway. That renders the existing site driveway to be existing non-conforming in that it's disturbed paved area that's in a no disturb zone. And as part of our variance request, we're just essentially proposing to repave that driveway, but not to make the condition any worse. In fact, we're making the condition better. That driveway as it currently exists is crowned in that half of the driveway flows off to the right towards the vernal pool and half of the driveway is sloped off to the left towards Pleasant Street. And there's no stormwater treatment providing any treatment of the sediment-laden runoff that flows off the right side of that driveway towards the vernal pool. So the project proposes to super elevate the repaved driveway such that it flows to a curb on the left side and out to Pleasant Street. So the second variance request tonight is associated with the red line on this plan. That is the 50-foot no disturb vernal pool buffer. It's a bit unintuitive in that this red line is not drawn 50 feet away from the vernal pool itself, but it's drawn 50 feet away from the vernal pool boundary. We coordinated with Mary leading up to this meeting just to make sure we depicted the red line appropriately. So in a similar fashion to the green line, this red line intersects with our limit of work primarily along that north driveway, as well as the parking area and some of the extents of the pavement adjacent to the parking area. And in a similar fashion, our variance request for this work is essentially to do work on land that is already developed, whether it be paved or lawn area. So in relation to that, we respectfully request variances for these two items from the commission. I'd like to take a slide here to discuss the erosion controls on the site. This site is a bit unique in that it's aided by a natural berm on the site. This was mentioned in the staff report that Mary circulated today, and it's shown in purple on this plan. In general, this is a natural earthen berm that is on average 5 or more feet high, and it exists to the east and the south of the site, which in a way protects the vernal pools off to the north and the south of the site. We are proposing to supplement or complement this natural earthen berm with silt fence, which is indicated in the red on this plan. We're also proposing stabilized construction entrances, or what often are colloquially referred to as track pads, to address sediment track out from construction vehicles out onto the street during construction. There was a question in the staff report that asked whether or not there would need to be 2 construction entrances associated with both driveways, providing frontage and access out to Pleasant Street. And the answer to that is quite possibly yes. As part of this project, because it's greater than an acre, it is required to comply with the terms of the EPA Construction General Permit in the form of a stormwater pollution prevention plan that the contractor will be equipped with on the site throughout construction. And that stormwater pollution prevention plan will require all construction vehicles that exit the site to first traverse over a track pad. So whether that requires 1 track pad, 2 or 3, they will need to be located in such a manner such that the contractor's means and methods are traversing over those track pads before they leave the site. And lastly, the last feature on this plan I'd like to mention is in orange. There are 3 inlet protection devices placed on the existing dry wells on the site in the front, just to protect those before they eventually get removed. And I think that's a good segue to the final 2 slides here pertaining to stormwater design. On this first slide, I'd like to discuss stormwater treatment. So the existing site, really the only treatment mechanism on the site are those 3 dry wells that I alluded to on the prior slide. They collect stormwater runoff from a small portion of the front of the site, but the vast majority of the pavement on the existing site does not flow to any designated stormwater structure. So there really is no treatment provided on the vast majority of the site. So the project tonight proposes to modernize and promote compliance with the state and local stormwater standards for the project. And we will be doing that in the form of a treatment train. So in blue on this plan are all of the different catch basins and drainage manholes that are proposed with the blue pipes to convey runoff to an underground stormwater chamber system that's at the bottom of the screen. The catch basins on the site are proposed to be deep sump and hooded to get the 25% initial suspended solids pretreatment, and they will convey water to the isolator row, which is the row of chambers in the subsurface chamber system that collects the first flush of stormwater. This row of chambers is lined with geotextile filter fabric to accomplish a final amount of pretreatment to meet the 44% requirement that is required for the site because it is categorized as a land use with a high potential for pollutant loading given the DPW use. During large storm events that exceed the capacity of the isolator row, stormwater would then enter the light blue colors of the different chambers, the other rows of the system, in which then it would also infiltrate into the ground and receive that final treatment, that 80 or 90% TSS percentage treatment, as well as the phosphorus treatment that's required locally. That phosphorus milestone is met because the size of the system has been sized to accommodate the 1-inch water quality volume, which is a proxy to accomplish that 60% total phosphorus removal requirement, which I think was alluded to in an earlier presentation tonight. So since this is an infiltration-based subsurface system, we did conduct test pits on the site. The test pit performed in the footprint of this basin did show suitable sand, soil, and groundwater conditions. There is a loamy sand texture here with no groundwater that was encountered down to the bottom of the test pit. So we receive our separation to groundwater requirements from the state stormwater standards. And I think the last piece to mention is that the subsurface stormwater chamber system is equipped with an outlet control structure that has a weir in it with cord orifices or holes to throttle or control the amount of water leaving this system during large storm events such that it doesn't peak flows out to Pleasant Street. You can see the green pipes. This is the outlet flow network that connects outlet or overflows out to Pleasant Street. That provides good segue to the final site, the slide here, which pertains to the flow attenuation for the project. So there are 3 design points to which stormwater tends to discharge or flow in both existing and proposed conditions. That is indicated by point of analysis 1, 2, and 3 on this slide. 1 is in blue, and this is representative of Pleasant Street, or the drainage main that exists below Pleasant Street and the catch basins that convey water to it. Point of analysis 2 is the wetland or the vernal pool associated with the pond north or northeast of the site that we've discussed on prior slides, and that's in red. And then in green is the final discharge or point of analysis, which is essentially a low-lying area amidst all the stockpiles in the rear portion of the site that's bounded by that berm that I had alluded to earlier. So the project successfully proposes to reduce peak discharge rates to all 3 of these points of analysis for the governing design storm events. We also proposed the pipes, the drainage pipes on the site to convey the 25-year storm, which is an engineering best practice. And one final piece I'd like to discuss pertains to the north driveway. I think I'll just reiterate what I said before. We're proposing to remove the crown to that driveway such that the proposed paved driveway will be super elevated to send flows out to Pleasant Street, but in a manner that will not increase the peak flow to the system beneath Pleasant Street. So with all that said, that covers the wetland, the project, the stormwater components to the project. I know the commission locally is the stormwater authority in town, so I found it necessary to discuss those final stormwater pieces. But at this point, we'd like to open it up to the commission for any comments and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, so I think one of the main comments I had, and I believe he's addressed this, is that you can see where the flow of water off the driveway has been going down. You know, it looks like the DPW has made a kind of a makeshift little detention pond, very small, down there to catch the flow off there, but it sometimes overflows, and there's disturbance among the leaves that leads you to believe that it could go into the vernal pool, that flow off that driveway, or it has in the past. So that's one thing I noted on the site visit. And yeah, I think that was my main comment. Yeah, obviously, as he stated, the board has to think about the variances. And if you look at the plan that he has up there, the parking, if I understand it correctly, the actual impervious area is being moved slightly closer to the vernal pool this is the existing pavement. And the new pavement will be going closer, but it's all within, what's existing lawn. So just something for the board to just note that they are moving closer within that 50-foot vernal pool no disturb. They are pushing the impervious area closer to the vernal pool in an area that has been previously disturbed. So it's grass right now. I don't know that
by what, a couple feet?
How many feet is
20
that
feet,
difference?
3 feet, 6 inches.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mary. Let me scale that quickly on this plan so that we can share with the group here how much that
It's like
is.
it's about
Yeah, it's about in depth, so probably 18, 20 feet. A little bit less than that. 18 to 18.
Yeah, about 17 feet. And the helpful feature here is that that berm area, you know, is essentially protecting the vernal pool, and that exists off kind of along the tree line, which the tree line is more or less coincidental with the orange line that we're showing here.
And how is the pavement graded? Pavement,
Oh,
Is
the
that-
parking area?
is that all graded to run off the edges, or is that directed to underground collection? That's a stormwater question, I guess.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. I should have clarified that all the pavement in this area is proposed to be directed to that subsurface chamber system. So the paved area will flow to catch basins and then be conveyed to that subsurface system.
I thought I heard so.
And you're gonna have to do a little bit of grading in the existing berm to push that parking in there, right?
There's gonna be a retaining wall and
Yeah, so the extent of, I'm going to highlight the extent of our grading as shown on the plan currently. The proposed contours are a more bold color. Essentially, the extent of our paving is just a few feet in some locations beyond the curb area. That LOW line is the limit of work, and the limit of grading is within that LOW line as indicated by the green highlight on this plan.
I have a picture that might be helpful in my, I'll just share. See if I can.
That temporarily stop my sharing here.
So this is the driveway here, this is the current parking, and this is the berm. It's very clear, so. It'll, you know, you're gonna encroach a little bit into that, but the vernal pool is relatively protected on the other side.
And I'll just
So
add the
we'll-
existing tree line is to remain intact as well. We're not encroaching into the existing vegetation.
Is that berm grassed? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little sparse here, but it's intended to be grass.
so will there be a retaining wall there to hold the berm?
There is a proposed curb at the bottom of the berm. And then
Which is
off
gonna
that
be-
proposed curb, we may need to grade up at, you know, a 3 or 4 foot horizontal to 1 foot vertical ratio just to meet that reconcile that grade differential. But it would be nothing that would require a retaining wall. The curb may be a little bit higher than your normal curb. I'm looking at my plan right now. It looks like the curb is actually just 6 inches tall along the edge of that parking area. So I guess a normal curb, and then a little bit of grading to meet that differential.
So I'm not sure I understand, but before it looked like you were cutting in 17 feet.
Yeah, I'll stop my share.
Yeah, I can
No, no.
reshare my screen just to paint the picture a bit more here if that would help.
Yeah, that picture was good, Mary. Because it
Yeah,
looks
go
like
back to the picture because
vertical
if they
cut.
take 17 feet, there goes the
the
berm.
whole berm is gone. You know, essentially, so are you proposing basically in this location to move the parking spot 17 feet to the left?
Yes, per the image that Mary showed. Yeah, so I'll highlight the edge of pavement in existing conditions right now. So this is the edge of the existing parking area in red. And then in a green color, I will highlight the edge of our proposed parking. So that's the 17-foot difference. And then in a purple color, I will highlight the existing contours. So this area actually isn't too steep in the existing conditions. So the reason why we don't need much grading to reconcile that difference is because the top of curb, the curb is 6 inches tall. So by the time we get to the back of the curb, we only have to make up probably a foot or two of difference, which we can accommodate within 4 or 5 feet behind the parking area where it's needed. So that's shown by the contour. This 278 contour right here is essentially just needing to tie in right at this location, which is only a few feet behind the curb.
Jesse, maybe, does it help, is it clear to say that there's some regrading of that berm necessary to do that? Is that, maybe that's needs to be explained.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some regrading of the berm But the berm still will exist. It'll be a little bit less tall than it was. A little bit.
Well, how will that affect the tree line? Isn't the tree line right there on the berm?
The tree line, I'll highlight it right now in blue. This is the extent of the tree line. And our limit of work is within the tree line.
So show me the picture again.
The berm is the tree line is behind the berm.
Okay, it's not on the top.
No.
Okay.
Correct.
It's gonna be affecting the front face.
Thank you.
Pretty close to the top.
Yeah, if you were to slide that light button to the left.
To keep that berm, they're gonna have to make a retaining.
Or the berm's gonna be quite a bit shorter.
Yes, yeah. And what's on the back side of the berm? How much erosion is going on back there?
You mean in this area?
Yeah, where we can't see.
Oh, it's woods back there. It's just natural.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the berm probably put in when the DPW was, anyway, it's well, it looks natural, it looks very natural.
Berm was erosion control back when they put that in. How many of us were here when they did that?
So,
Maybe only me.
so that, you're saying that tree line will not be affected?
That's correct.
I'm looking at
Might
that
get
car.
a reason a little bit.
Close.
Well, I have that car, and I'm using that as a guide,
Slide it.
and that car probably isn't 17 feet long.
But Jesse was explaining this,
There's a couple on the
curb
back.
at the back of the new parking is 6 inches high, which almost acts as a little mini retaining wall for 6 inches. So we're relieved by that. And then the front slope of that berm is gonna have to be regraded slightly steeper in order to meet that. But otherwise, it won't be disturbed beyond that point.
Adjusted.
Adjusted, yes.
I guess you may also want to see, this is the side of the driveway where the runoff tends to go.
I think they're gonna solve that
Is
problem.
that's at the bottom of the driveway?
It's actually right at the top, kind of.
Oh, really?
And then you can see a little area that the DPW has dug out to catch the runoff before it hits the vernal pool. But sometimes it overflows. So, but it'll be fixed. Oh, so that was pretty much my comments. There is no DEP number for this project.
Good to me.
Could we go back to a site plan that would show the vernal pool that's on the right-hand side? I just had a question. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, not that one. I think a different plan. That one maybe, sure. The orange line is what again?
That is the limit of our proposed disturbance.
Okay, is that basically the existing disturbance on the site?
Yeah, you can see just behind the orange line are this bubble line type that indicates the existing tree line. So it's essentially coincidental with the existing tree line.
I guess what my question is, so sort of I thought, my question is, can any of that area that is within basically the 50-foot vernal pool buffer be restored? I think right now, it's a bunch of, I think those are like piles of material,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That show those little circles and things. So can any of that, can we claw back a little bit of habitat on that end and to reduce the impact to the, basically to the 50-foot vernal pool buffer?
I'll try to speak for Dennis Westgate on that, because I know that his answer would be no. Only because I know that not only do they need space for the DPW, when they have town projects going, the contractors use this yard as their laydown space.
I've dropped off tires there myself.
Yeah. So and we're encroaching a bit on that by we're actually flip-flopping the ramp for the loading for the salt shed. We're putting that canopy, storage canopy, purple structure above, so we're encroaching a bit on their laydown space, so I have a feeling they're gonna need to continue to use that space that they currently use, but it's certainly something we can discuss, Dennis.
JP, I would also add that, everything that is shown is on that downstream inside portion of those existing berms on the perimeter. And if there was an attempt to claw back some of the wetland buffer area, it would be subject to being next to a working yard essentially. And it would be hard for someone to maintain a standard of not accidentally dumping a load of rocks on top of it.
If there are bounds or something.
You would need a physical barrier for someone to visually see in the working yard that this is what your clawback is. And then all of that would be, again, it's within an already disturbed area that's well defined because that perimeter berm, the whole site is sunken in below that topo and has been there at least since the mid 90s, because that's as far back as we can see from aerial imagery, clearly anyway.
And to echo what JP really said is, I think that would be an impact to Dennis Westgate and DPW's operations, because they do have material there, and it varies depending on what's going on in the town and what projects are going on.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission?
Picture of the back. Here, this is looking on top of the berm, kind of in the back section, a little bit of a steep hill going down. They do have
Yeah, it is elevated back there.
yeah, it's elevated.
Yes.
What's that building?
Oh,
That was that's the existing
Oh,
salt shed, I believe you probably seen from the back of the site.
this, yeah.
That should, yeah, that's the salt shed.
Yeah, this is,
Okay.
this is way weird. This is the other kind of storage area. If you cut through
Maybe we could ask for some kind of a better delineation of the future no disturb area here,
yeah, you can't, I don't think you can tell. I'm standing on a hill, so it's definitely a slope.
Right.
But you could do something else.
on another berm?
And then above
Continue burn back there.
maybe a fence or something, something that would guard
Well,
against
it might be good
encroachment.
as well, because you can walk from that trail right into the DPW yard, which may not be the greatest for public safety.
Yeah.
I mean, if, I would say, just, if we could claw a little bit back, if Dennis would allow a little bit.
Maybe to at least sort of regularize that line back there.
Yeah.
Cut a bit of the triangle and back.
Exactly, yeah.
We'd love that.
It's remarkable, there's several river pools in this area.
That was what a gravel pickup time, is that what that was?
Yes.
Well, they,
It looked like it, could they?
No, I mean, from what I understand is they paid for the existing building with the sale of the gravel that they took out of there, so.
well, I mean, so at the time, maybe.
Yeah, let's see,
Yeah,
'cause it looked
originally
like
it was a
gravel.
tough spot with all those vernal pools, and and it was a priority to get them certified.
The schools did that, right?
Yeah, the school.
Students did.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, any other questions right now for these folks? So, got a VP number, we've got more work to do. Should we continue to the 27th? Is that right with everybody?
Is that's, yeah, we're.
2 weeks.
I don't think we've received the peer review comments yet, right?
From Stantec, right?
Yeah,
We put it off 4 weeks.
I don't know when we're expecting to get those.
The agenda, don't we?
Yeah, I'm not Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike Antonelis may know that, but I'm not, sorry, I didn't ask that.
no, it's not Stantec, it's
Oh, it's something else.
it's RG.
It's GDI.
I don't,
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. the-
Someone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, so I don't know if, if we get those in the next week, we can get responses going. We'll
Can we put them on and just check it over?
Yeah, we can continue again. So we'll,
Okay.
for 27th at 8, how about at 8?
8:15. I have
8:15.
something at 8, yeah.
All right, we have a motion to continue the hearing for 100 Pleasant Street to 8:15 on May 27th.
I'll move it. Second.
Discussion. Mike, aye.
Aye.
Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
And I.
I think I have to recuse myself on all this stuff because my husband works at the DPW.
They gain it.
What are you doing?
We'd have to look that up. Did anybody
I
read
just put it by-
that? Did you?
I think you know.
Oh, no, actually, it's just.
Bill was on the commission. Okay, thank you, folks.
It'll be a bill problem, not a Marcel.
It's in my best interest for him not to be working in a trailer.
Yeah, for that. Especially a poorly heated and poorly air conditioned trailer, right?
That's right.
Probably a builder of the foundation by now. Gross.
Okay, all right, thank you, everybody.
Great, thank you, appreciate it.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is, there's no time, RDA 130 South Street. Mary.
Oh, yeah, so that.
Looking for my. Yeah, was wrong.
Yeah.
Census is
Sorry,
just-
never mind. Okay, so, through hearing, believe it or not. It's only 9:45. Okay, let's try to run through the rest of this stuff quick as we can. Administrators report. Mary. Chris isn't here. We would meet till 11.
So. So there's a lot of pictures in here. Just, there was a complaint, and I think maybe you guys remember this. I feel like this person, we've had complaints about this before. So 33 Shore Drive, a neighbor was complaining about pushing leaves off towards, like their landscapers were blowing leaves off into the wetlands and maybe cutting more trees down than necessary, although I couldn't tell from aerials whether any trees were cut down. You can't really see this property from the road. I believe you have to view it from the neighbors. I don't know if you guys want me to go out there and ask the neighbor if the neighbor's one complaint. If I can view it from his property and see if I see any impacts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the neighbor can also, you can ask them to take some photos, I mean, since they live there.
Yeah, I think he did.
Okay.
I'm not yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have a record of, okay, here's what it was before, here's what it is now. Because you can't be out there every week.
No. Yeah, that's right. So that, and then. And as I discussed during the earlier hearing, I did hear from Heidi Davis, the state, about just someone was concerned about the work going on at 45 Milford. And so Emily Church and I are meeting tomorrow to talk about it. And then, oh yes, the COC request for Governor's Landing. Okay, so they mistakenly submitted it to us. We couldn't find our files. I did find it finally on the registry, but it turns out it's a superseding order, so we cannot issue a certificate of compliance. They have to get that from the state. Right. So this is for work that was never started or complete. never done. So it's basically closing out the old superseding order because no work was ever done on it and it's expired. So I don't think anyone will have any issues with that, except to know that it's going on. It's the only thing to know. So I'll just run through the pictures. You might be interested. This is the disturbance at Zero Mechanic.
Parking area might go.
Well, this is a little bit up the hill, but they had done test pits, but in my mind, it's like a little bit beyond test pits. They did a little bit more than this, but that's just.
Well, early on, they started in there and then, you know,
Yeah.
the issue was they stopped.
And
They were gonna go further.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of maybe where
I'm
the
guessing.
person would go. Just this is, yeah. So they. This is a view of pond. The trail is going to be lovely back there. I think it may, in my opinion, it may end up being a destination for others just because you get in that are not in the neighborhood because you get.
It's perfect. You have a lot of walkers up in that
Yeah.
area.
It's a really nice.
Some people drive up and park at Stephens and walk that block. And then they
Right.
walk the other.
So yeah, to have a little parking spot here, I think might be helpful just for one car.
And there's potential of some conserved land across the street. Mechanic.
Right, that'll be.
So people could walk also from there down the street a bit to get to Warrenbrook.
Right, so I think it's gonna, that's gonna be
pretty.
That's that, this is just construction log. This one's back in the woods, so you can't see it from the road.
I know we're kind of,
What is that?
950,
This
that's a house on the Burnett Conservation
Yeah.
restriction, they had an envelope in there. But Mira, did Gene ever talk to you about dam repair?
No.
No, okay, I didn't get a reply either from that. Gene has said he's got equipment on site, maybe wanted to repair their pond, which is right behind this structure ways. The dam is in kind of rough shape, berm, it's basically berm really. So he asked if he could do some work while he had construction equipment there, and then I copied him and Mary and said, let's talk about it, and maybe an emergency permit even, but we didn't hear anything else. Maybe.
That's that, this one, they put bounds in, the house is sold. They still need to do a little bit of work, but they should be coming for a COC soon. Swimming pool, 9 Claflin Farm. This was an ALDP off Hopkinton Road. He ended up clearing a lot more than I thought he was, but I don't think he went beyond. It's definitely well out of the wetland buffer. All right. 200 West River, I met with Melody, and that's one of the agenda items actually. So in her order of conditions, it says she's supposed to put in the planting area for the vernal pool. If you guys remember, she had encroached into the vernal pool area. That was supposed to be planted by the fall of 26. And in discussing with her and looking at this site, which still looks like this, she's not gonna it's not gonna be ready. So I think we asking for a 1-year extension on that. So I think we need to vote on that if the board thinks that's okay.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second, any discussion?
No.
Mike,
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
She must be getting money from the gravel, sand to pay for the.
A little at a time.
Yeah. Crockett Road tree removal.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
And the reason was bank
Yeah.
erosion or?
Well, I guess the owner is concerned that when the tree dies and falls into the pond, that he won't be able to get it out,
You don't have to.
Yeah, so that's the consensus
You're
one.
gonna get up when he cuts it. I mean, it's not gonna fall towards the.
Right, I guess he's having a tree company do it, so he's got 1, 2, and then this big white pine. Yeah, so I mean, I did already grant him permission, but you guys could override me. And he probably hasn't hired his guy yet, so it's only been a week or something, so.
You know, in the future, the only comment I might have is, you know, I mean, we've given you authority to do this, it's fine.
Yeah,
But some cases, maybe
yeah, this,
consider mitigation. Maybe we could ask, okay, you're gonna
Yeah.
cut these down, but how
I
about
did
planting
ask for,
some?
I think with him, I did ask for plantings.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
That one.
Right, thank you.
Some, yes, replication, so to speak.
Okay, I'll make it up.
And,
Because he's coming before us he's gonna redo his whole property, he's gonna put a new house in.
That's what I want to treat, so.
Yeah, so.
Something at a time.
The school in the house way back from the new house will be at 15, this one's at 25s. Like, in the end, it's gonna be improvement. Okay, keep going. Just works begun here. 78 Main Street, is there a wetland? Yes, the answer is. 30 Pearl. So I did get them to put the bounds in, so that's great. They're gonna be putting in for certificate of compliance. It's gonna be a little bit tricky because there's two wetland lines, one for the septic system and one for the construction of the house. They're conflicting. I think the one for the house is probably right. The other one was done in the winter. And the house required a little bit of a replication area, and my guess is it was never done. But I did make them, so we're gonna have to worry about that one for a certificate of compliance. Very small replication area. Work is starting at 28 Hartford Ave North. This is gonna be a habitat project. They will be before us for an NOI for the construction of the house, but they did a determination for the demolition. So but they will be cutting a bunch of trees down for that. They have to. Beach was done in a week. It looks beautiful. Everyone should go swimming. And on the street. East Street, again, the work is starting here. This is 91, the ones we were looking at tonight. This high street is going to be tough with the replication areas. I'm trying to get them to where they are on the plans. They're cutting trees down, so we're trying to move them so that there's minimal damage to large existing trees. This is a tough site, and unfortunately, I believe he put his he made his crossing 2 foot wider, so he's going to need additional replication. This one's tough, so we may have to discuss this more. And this is just pictures of the work at 41 Milford. I don't know if you got a chance to look. I don't know if I included it. So there's a ton of stuff being, okay, actually, this is never mind, this is the pump station, where the pump station goes. And in my, I don't think I showed my review for the actual work, but if you've driven by it, you can see there's a lot of work going on in 45.
Drive by like this.
You just don't want to look. And that's the end. I'm done.
Gonna be a mess.
Okay, administrative report, meeting minutes for 4/22/26. And signed documents, including the Adams family land donation.
I can share the minutes. All right, can everyone see these?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I had sent them out yesterday, and then Mike had sent me some edits, and I added those in. It was just a little bit more about the trail connection for Zero Mechanic Street and some eggs. I think salamander and frog eggs found in the vernal pools by the high school athletic fields. Were there any other comments on these?
Do I have a motion to accept the minute? Second, revised. Any discussion? Mike, aye?
Aye, Alan.
I guess I abstain, I wasn't here, right?
That's 3 sets.
Shannon, I.
And I, and.
Stella, aye.
Okay, so that's a majority of the commission. Thank you, Lauren. So we have some things to sign here.
I can also share, we have one voucher I can't remember if I actually gave it to Mary before the meeting, but let me pull that up. That was just Mary's mileage for April. And then the balance sheet has been updated. I don't think I made one the last meeting, but $1,000 had been approved to be spent towards the Adams family land donation property tax bill. And so that was paid, came out to 900 something dollars. And then not much else has changed. So I think we just need a motion to approve the voucher.
Okay. Move to second for any discussion? Mike, aye.
Sandy, I.
And I.
Marcella, I.
Right, thank you. Thanks, Shannon. Shannon and Warren. Okay, thanks for the open space committee update.
Well, as you know, you have the signature page for the acceptance of the deed. I'm meeting with the owners tomorrow to have them sign the deed and get it notarized. And assuming that 4 of you sign it, and that's a majority, I think that's probably all I'll end up needing, but I'll have to confirm that with town council. And if that's the case, I'll have to make arrangements for others to sign it. And I'll turn it over to the town manager, select board, and they'll sign it and arrange to get it recorded. So Lauren, did you submit a request for a check already for the property tax?
Yes, I did.
All right, great, thank you.
And if it says print, it says right.
Well, I mean, so normally it would have print and sign.
That one doesn't have the names on it.
Right,
Yeah.
you signed it.
You might want to print them.
I'm gonna print my name.
With your feet, there's off. Bill, do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, thank you, congratulations on that one.
It's good, but you know who I am. That could be my dog.
AI can't forge my signature.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And, okay, land stewardship committee, just to keep us moving here, I thought we might be in this position like at 10 o'clock tonight, so I actually wrote out some notes for land stewardship and sent them around. You can kind of review them, but I think that the one thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is the Robinson family CR, the trail issue there. We had a site visit a couple weeks ago, and during the visit, Kathy offered a third alternative, where we had a kind of a alternative that would cross into the butter, go low around a big hill. An alternative that would go over the hill with some nasty switchbacks. And then Catherine suggested an alternative along Warren Brook, which would include actually going on her lot near Fowler Street, which would be really a nice solution to this in a lot of ways. I mean, it'd be a very nice walk along, most of it's along the brook. It would be within the riverfront, most of it. And then there might be some right near the end, potential for some wetland. So there might be some need for a boardwalk, but the way it was left is that if commission is interested in this possibility, she'd like us to flag where the trail would go, and then she could view the flagging. So any thoughts on that?
Well, it's a good idea if it works, and, she's for it, and it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Path of least resistance.
Yeah, but it's also a nicer walk.
Yeah, it's nice.
It would be a very nice walk. Okay, so we'll work on that, on flagging that. The other thing I just want to mention was, we were doing a work day out at Robertson's several weeks ago, and someone mentioned that he had just seen construction of like a 65-foot span across an old dam in Millbury. I think I sent that picture with telephone photo. And I got to thinking, I know where there might be some telephone poles being generated in town. For the hell of it, do you think we could ask Grid if they could save us a couple of poles?
I bet they would.
We only need like 34 feet too, we don't need 60 feet. So, I mean, potentially we could get this trail established and like build a cheap bridge across.
How do we get them to there though?
Well,
Many hands.
yeah,
Of course.
a lot of Boy Scouts.
Well, maybe they can, so it's a machine, just bring them to the edge of the property.
Well, actually, you know, there's the field, right?
Right.
You know, so you could slide them down the hill from the field on the Robinsons.
Guess you could use come-alongs.
Yeah.
Come-alongs.
It might be worth their trouble to help us out with that, just because it'll probably cost them to dispose of hazardous material. Anyway.
Want that creosote in the water now?
Well, let's just keep them, I mean, we have an opportunity. I mean, they're not gonna be removing those for what, maybe, I don't know.
It's like
Maybe it could be almost a year, right?
Yeah, it's a year, the whole thing is a year long.
They have to build the new platforms for the new pylons and, but anyway, let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And we have funding still for a bridge there, and we could possibly still build some abutments. And decking, I wanna go see that Millbury bridge at some point and see how they did fall protection. Because, from the picture I saw, it's like probably about like a 6-8 foot drop. You gotta have some kind of fall protection. Anyway, that's it.
Did the National Grid get theirs to build a bridge, a small bridge near there?
In Millbury?
No, near this.
Near my house, my
Yeah.
gosh. Have you
Yeah,
seen what they've
near the
done?
garden.
They did a platform. They put a platform.
Yeah.
I know they've been,
Built a
I
road.
don't know if they built a little bridge area.
I don't think they're gonna try and cross that wetland.
No.
Okay.
They're gonna go in on the other side.
They've got
But they could build a little bridge up, you know, on the hill. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a stream crossing.
Are they gonna take all that stuff out and the gravel and what are they gonna?
Yeah, I believe the gravel goes too. They're gonna try and put it back out.
As
Yeah.
much as possible,
This is an extensive project.
because there've been, well, trucks every 5 minutes, not now, but you know, the times. It's quite exciting.
Yeah, I guess they should be paying attention to how far they've gotten. Are they up the hill, near Fowler Street going up that way?
Yeah, they're across.
Yeah.
They're not coming by my house and they're not making the turn on Fowler Street where the big trucks have to back up twice to jockey around the thing. Yeah, they've had a tough time. How much more do we
Big
have?
project, still, I'm sorry. The other thing, just on this list of stuff to talk about is, Stephens Farm field maintenance. Greg Trotz over the last few years has been trying to get us to hire him to cut back some of the field edges at Stephens, trees are encroaching. And, you know, I'm just wondering if that's something you guys consider spending some money on, and I got thinking that we have 2 interns. They could work with him, you know, Greg could do the chainsaw work and some work with his, his heavier equipment, and the interns could provide some assistance to him, so.
So are they looking to just convert the field back to field?
Edges, brushes and
Right,
trees.
it's kind of growing into the field.
Exactly.
So what used to be the field edge, he's gonna clear to that.
That's what we were trying, yeah, and some places are stone walls that mark the edge.
Some of the stuff that grows up in the middle.
Yeah, so what's he gonna use? Is he gonna use like a machine that kind of eats the stuff, or he's not doing it by hand, right?
Well, what he had proposed to me was kind of by hand with chainsaw work, and then drag it into the woods. Not chip it, just drag it into the woods. And a year or two ago, he said, it was a job for his son.
It seems like I mean, I've been up to that bunch, it seems like a big job to do a chainsaw. Like, I mean, they do some rabbit hunting.
Well, part thing that, what I was thinking is we could get some folks and go up there with Greg and take a look.
Sure, I think it's a good idea to look, right?
Pick some areas, but before we did that, I was just wondering if Greg gets like $1100 or $1200 a day with including his equipment. So, I mean, would we be willing to like hire him for 2-3 days to do?
I would if he had equipment. I don't think I would if he's doing it by hand. I don't think you're gonna get enough done.
You gotta have a certain amount.
Yeah, like if he had a piece of equipment that's going through and chewing stuff up, I'm good with that. I think it's a good idea to try to maintain the field.
And we should not just do a daily rate, but we say we want this amount of linear feet cleared so that there's no surprises, like it takes 3 days and it's only 40 feet. And then,
Right, I think it's a bigger job than he thinks, if I understand it.
Well, I'm assuming it would just be a start. There's thousands of feet.
Right, right.
It's pick an area where we could,
Well, those fields are kind of broken up, right? So maybe we pick, maybe start the back and then one forward, because the front field's the biggest, right? But even the front, you've got other, like when you walk up the path, there's fields there and then. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea to try to maintain fields. My own opinion is I think it's much bigger than a hand job. Like I just think it's a lot more than that, but yeah.
Willing to give him.
Yeah, I mean,
Have
look
him give
at
us
it.
some prices.
yeah,
let's see.
let's well, so I'll try to schedule a time to meet him up there. Maybe after our interns are on board, so we can go up with the interns too. And then just see if there's a project there.
Yeah. And, if it's certain time, that ain't gonna help anybody.
Yeah, no one's gonna be. Okay, so I guess we don't need a motion or anything, but there's interest. There's enough interest for that.
Sure,
That's great.
I think it's a great idea, you just don't know how much you're gonna get done by hand at $1,000 a day.
No, it's slow work, and we did something, when Land Stewardship has done some of that work. Our own.
Doesn't the state have a grant, they have like equipment that eats that crap up too.
Yeah.
They
There are
times I read about grants. for
There are
that stuff.
yeah.
Just, I don't know if they'd have an interest in it. Is that part of the ACEC by any chance?
Yeah.
Oh.
And yeah, it could even be a little bigger project because we've got aerial imagery from like 38. That shows about half the fields are gone since 38. So we know where the fields were and where they are now.
Yeah, well, you can see all the rock walls up there.
Okay, well,
I think it's a good idea.
We're getting, okay, so I'll try to set something up. I think that's it for land stewardship. There's some other stuff, but read what I wrote.
Don't we have stuff to?
We did sign it. We have.
Yeah, so
Decide.
Yeah, that's what.
There's a few, and there's one more agenda item that we passed over, the invasives on the way.
It's,
Laura's.
Laura, go.
Yeah. But I think at least I can show you.
Probably not urgent, because Pragmatic control wouldn't happen until the following week.
Yeah, so I think, I guess we can put this off a meeting. This is kind of the area where we could look into different bases of control. They have description. She was just wondering if a wetland filing was necessary. There's no wetlands on the, and I have not walked the site, but one of the invasive plants are removing is Franklin's, so which leads you to believe that there might be some wetland area, but it's all invasive plant removal.
And for the frag, are they talking about herbicide application or?
Again.
I
Where is
I
this?
imagine.
On your Visco Hill, near
The
the,
white, from the right.
near the school. So what are they doing? So they're gonna do mainly Oriental bittersweet and multiflora rose over 5 acres. They plan to mow down and then cut and dab large bittersweet. They expect to followed by targeted foliar applications. And then
You said mow down, what are they using? A mower, or are they using like a brush hog?
probably using.
Because that might work up that.
Yeah.
Stepless.
Yeah.
It might be
Yeah.
just using a handheld.
Oh, okay.
Covered with a blade on
Yeah, so I guess it's mainly the bittersweet and multiflora rose with a patch of Phragmites.
We're not opposed to that, are we, unless.
No, it's just a question of whether they need to file. I think.
I don't think they need to file.
Yeah.
No.
It's
We'll be out
invasive.
there counting trees,
It's,
you know.
if it is wetland though, I think you would need,
Yeah,
need a
to-
request.
And they can still do maintenance stuff.
Well, can't they get rid of the Phragmites anyway?
No,
They don't
they can
need-
work at it.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't need. Can't you just do whatever you want with the Phragmites, you don't need any approval, do you?
I think,
Yeah, we're just curious, so.
I think, yeah, I need to look that up, but I believe invasive removal could potentially be exempt.
Yeah, no, the only reason I said that is I know someone that has property southeastern Mass on the Nice River and. There's Phragmites and they let him cut through and do whatever he wants with
Right.
that stuff, because they don't wanna get rid of it anyway.
So I'll check on that.
Check it out.
And if it's exempt, you guys,
Yeah, okay, with it, yeah.
otherwise the site visit maybe. Alright.
I don't see any wetlands on that.
The Jedi trip.
Well, right,
No, no,
yeah. Well, and then we have 2 more things to sign.
Yeah, and they're in the little town.
Sign the Forest Heights thing.
Yeah, we need to, besides update.
And actually, there's Forest Heights, they should go ahead and sign it.
Okay, so give you a quick update on Forest Heights, town meeting. Did 2 things, approved, one, it's not conservation area, the control custody of the commission. And 2, that restriction was, the select board has authority to take it by eminent domain. Okay, yesterday, the selectmen board met. And they decided to, basically take it by eminent domain unless they can come to an agreement with Rachel et al. And the last communication that town council had with Rachel and Bonnie here at camp said they want $300,000. Okay, and the selectmen have offered at the most 150. So stay tuned. We may end up doing both, eminent domain and paying them something, but anyway, we're on board to actually finish this project by the end of June. And that's why I guess maybe I'm not gonna, I will sign this, I'm not gonna. Need a motion to sign the conservation restriction for Forest Heights.
So moved. Second.
So you're gonna need Shannon,
Right, and Shannon at least.
Shannon.
Marcellus and the butter.
Marcellus and the-
And won't sign, I won't sign, but, so we have a motion.
Yeah, we need to vote now.
Okay, so just for discussion, I'm abstaining from the vote, and Marcella, I believe, was too, but she can confirm
Yeah.
that. Okay, so any discussion on voting for the CR? Okay, all in favor, Mike abstained.
Tom, I.
Colin, I.
Sandy, I.
Jan and I.
Thank you.
Marcella,
Abstained. Okay, thank you. So we just need 4 signatures. Yeah. And then
This is I think you had to give to Chris, but why don't you just go ahead and sign it, Mike? This is for the easement for Crosswinds.
We already voted.
We already voted to sign this, and I did talk with town council about whether town council said it's okay to just have one signature. Which is how it's written.
I'll sign it. So just going back a bit, I think the one RDA we need to talk about, that is our 75 Elm Street. There might be others, Mary too, but I know that one we didn't vote on. So
I think, did you guys agree that we're gonna allow the removal of the dead trees?
Dead trees.
And the
Any
two
really
trees
dead
next to,
trees, not
and the
just-
2 trees next to the shed.
Yeah.
I don't think those are completely dead, but they are.
Yeah,
right.
that's, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the shit.
okay, so see what
And then-
number that's gonna be
5 to 6 to, I think maybe we just wanna have a condition, you know, I can go to the site and just.
Yes, mark them.
Or, you know, mark them with them, show me which ones they're actually.
Take a spray can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we had sprayed.
Do you have one? Or did you already?
No, he was using a white one, but we'll need to use a different color.
and then spray right at the base.
Yeah.
Stumps,
The stumps.
And the stumps, the stumps are to remain, right? He's kind of like, oh, I can kind of grind down a lot.
Now he wants to make like a.
Yeah,
You're supposed to make more yellow.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, didn't he say something about filling some stuff there?
Yeah, so that was on the original RDA. That's completely off right now. He needs to hire wetland scientists, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
I have a question about. First of all, is there any reason why he couldn't arrange to have dead branches cut?
He didn't seem open to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Might be, I mean, those pines are pretty tall.
Yeah, I mean, he'd need
He
a crane.
wants to trim them as high as he can reach.
Well, if he's
yeah.
gonna take them down, he's gonna have a crane there anyway.
Yeah, yeah, so is that, he certainly could have that done.
I'm just wondering, but it seems reasonable. I mean, he's complaining about the branches falling. And I'm assuming that typically it's the dead ones that fall.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is to the extent that he,
Yeah, he's raking pine needles.
Yeah.
Though,
and then the other question is to the extent that he engaged an arborist who could discern healthy trees from diseased trees. You'd have a case.
Mary's gonna go out with them.
Yeah.
I'm not an arborist.
You don't need to be, you don't need to be. Common sense.
Mary,
Anything
We trust your
dead,
decision.
dead, you know.
He's not very happy. It's kind of tough to send Mary out there to deal with him, and he's unhappy. I'm sorry you have to deal with these people.
That's okay, but
Yes.
maybe you can just hunt it off and say,
If you want, I'll go out there, I don't
Yes,
care.
blame us.
Blame us.
have any, officers that I'll bring someone with you.
Yeah, no, he's.
No, he's not.
He's fine, I don't see any issues really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We're
mean,
recording of the
yeah,
meeting.
I mean, if he wants to
Yeah.
pay the prune, that's gonna cost you more than cutting them down.
So RDA, so it's gonna be what's the termination, negative termination?
Negative termination,
What number?
so usually we do 3 and 6, because the wetland line, in this case, it will not be confirmed because he did not hire a wetland scientist. And 3 means he does not have to does not have to file a notice of intent,
Okay,
basically, and the 6 is, does not have to file a notice of intent under the bylaw.
okay, so issue negative RDA, 3 and 6 boxes checked, with a condition that only
Trees that are
trees that are
coated by Mary at the base.
Mark,
plus the 2 trees near that shed are removed.
well, just mark trees.
Yeah.
So is there motion?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion on this one? Okay, hearing none, Mike on.
Tom, I.
Ellen,
Sandy,
Jan and I.
Marcella, I.
Thank you. Are there any, did we, the Graf Junction Railroad, we closed it, but I don't think we voted, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's another one, a motion to issue an RDA for the Grafton Upton Road wetlands and liaison associated with herbicide application.
So moved. Second.
Discussion, hearing none, Mike, aye.
Aye.
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
I think that's all of them.
The West Main, did we already do that one? The utility pole and underground conduit?
We did that,
We did that one, okay,
yeah,
great.
and we also did the COC for
For 117
South
South
Street.
Street, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, busy tonight.
Oh, boy.
Gonna be busy all weekend.
That was. All right, so I think we're at the end, 200 West River Extension. for
Yeah, we did
installation.
that.
We did that, okay. Right, so, anything else? You added? All right, motion to adjourn, so. Thank you, everybody.